one hungry sports writer's journey through America. One of the great things about Twitter is when people are traveling and where they are, whatever they're doing. Andy, thanks for your time. Paul, Catalina, Craig, I'm David Smoke with you as well. When did this start, and how long did it take to put together? And have you eaten at every one of these places you put in your top 300?
Well, Smokey, I think it started at birth.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
On the fake, on the slant, it's Denzel Mims, and the Bears take the lead.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
SicEm365. Too strong. Gillespie on the offensive glass. Slips underneath Manning. They got it done.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
Playing at the goal line. Brewer keeps it again. Touchdown. Baylor.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go on this 4th of July weekend eve. On this Friday, July 3rd, Deontay is back with us today. He has been social distancing.
Yes.
Okay. Even though Paul didn't want to give me my credit.
Yeah,
yesterday.
that was my fault. I forgot.
Yeah, I'm sitting there thinking Deontay, and then you would, no, I'm doing everything. And Deontay's over there at his house, his brand new house. He just moved into this house, and he's working his butt off, and then you just tossed him under a bus.
I did. I'm
Craig
sorry.
Smoke here, Paul Catalina. I'm David Smoke. We will take you up until 6. In just a moment, Todd Callis, he's the television broadcast voice for the Astros. So baseball started, is that right? They're the pitchers and catchers and outfielders, so they're all back, right?
Yep.
So he'll join us today. He covers the Astros or broadcasts the Astros television-wise. His father, of course, a famous Hall of Fame broadcaster in Philadelphia for many years. At 3:25, Sam Tecklenburg, who's a part of the Carolina Panthers. So he retires. Matt Rule says, hey, wait a minute. He calls him the night of the draft, the last day of the draft. The next thing you know, he's back in football. And then he has to deal with this with I don't even know if he's been to Charlotte. So we'll have him. Also, Grayson Grundhafer. This is going to be so much fun. We talk weddings at 3:45. Craig, did you guys do your podcast this week, or was he too distracted?
No, we did it. It's been up since yesterday, and yesterday morning, as a matter of fact, and it's going to, I think, be airing after today's show as well as it typically does. So, yeah, it's out there. It's been out there, and I think probably most people have listened to it by now. But, yeah, Grayson's getting married tomorrow. So this has been a long journey of planning and having to work their way around all of the different ramifications of COVID-19. I think he told me that at one point they were going to have a wedding party of like 300 people, you know, the big wedding, big dream wedding. And I think because of restrictions, they're going to have like 40, and it's, you know, or something along those lines, and it's going to be close family and friends only. So, you know, that goes to show you some of the changes, but at least they're getting to have it, and they're getting to have it tomorrow, and they'll be officially married. So that'll be great.
Good for him. Good luck. Also, today at 4 o'clock, Hall of Famer Joe Green, Temple Dunbar, North Texas State back then, a Hall of Famer with the Steelers. Joe Green will join us. And then also today, Chet Williams, he's a local golf course. He's from Waco. He designs golf course, probably the top-ranked golf course in Texas. And this can go up and down. It can kind of switch out every year. But Whispering Pines, and hidden in the East Texas parts of Trinity, Texas, is under renovation. It was already the number one course, or 1 and 2, depends on who you ask. Golf Digest, Dallas Morning News. He's renovating that course. In California, he renovated Montecito, and I drove around through it with my buddy Eric. And let me tell you something. That's as gorgeous and pristine of a golf course that I think I've ever driven through other than Augusta National, and I've been to some of the other national courses. It's just mind-boggling up in Santa Barbara. He redid that one. And he's also giving some advisement giving advice to Tommy Tompkins and those guys at what is Bear Ridge, what was Twin Rivers, and before that was called Bear Ridge.
Is that the course that you guys were told to play by our Airbnb host?
No, that's the one that's up in a little bit farther east.
Okay.
This one in Sun, that was beautiful. Well, I got to remember that one now. You're right. That was incredible. Up in the mountains with all the lemon trees and all that. Wasn't that lemon trees?
Yeah, I think so.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic. And Chet Williams has done a lot of courses. He'll join us today at 4:30. A couple of headlines. Baseball, they started, right? They started working out. Todd Callis in 5 minutes. So Brett Martin of the Rangers, he made his major league debut today. But he tested positive today. COVID-19, and so he's dealing with mild symptoms of the disease, namely fatigue and congestion, but is on the mend. So that's the first Rangers player that we've heard about. Mike Trout's still not sure whether he wants to play this year. What do you think he'll do? You think he'll play?
I don't think he's going to play. He's got a baby on the way.
He says, I don't feel that comfortable. Baseball has canceled the All-Star game already. Well, it's supposed to be like in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So the Dodgers will host it in 2022. Next year, it will be at Truist Park in Atlanta.
SunTrust Park. Isn't it SunTrust?
I think that's a typo.
Oh, okay, SunTrust Park.
Yeah.
That's how much I know about the name of the ballpark. I saw this. The Texas Collegiate League continues to focus. The Frisco Rough Riders were going to continue to play. Their weekend series, though, has now been shut down. League office informed the front office they are not involved in the baseball. They've been exposed, confirmed positive. The league office and other owners in the league agreed to protect the community and the players of the Rough Riders, so they will not play this weekend.
I don't think that you will see any leagues playing that cannot keep their players in a bubble.
How about if you can't make money anyways, then why even are you playing?
Yeah. So So you can't make money. You can't so television, all this. But the bubble, I think, is going to be a big thing because that's why I think college football will eventually get done because if you don't have students back on campus, well, you're going to have a bunch of dorms that you can put people in, and you can even socially distance in the dorms if nobody's going to come back and move in.
You could almost have one person in a dorm. Mike Gundy, how about this? After all of what went down with players upset about the AON T-shirt when he was on a fishing picture.
Yeah.
Huh? OAN. He has agreed to take a $1 million pay cut and amend his contract after a 2-week review of the program. The changes were offered up by Mike and commend him for that. It was his idea to take the $1 million pay cut. Did he do that because of COVID or because of what happened with some misunderstanding or his lack of knowing the room, so to speak, 2 or 3 weeks ago?
I think it's the last one. I mean, if you watch he did an interview on ESPN where he said, look, I'm a dumbass. I should have known that. It was just a dumbass thing to do. He said it twice. And, credit to him for doing that.
Lost a year on the contract, too.
Yeah, lost a year on the contract, but he had to do something big because his players had really lost a lot of faith in him.
So he gives up $1 million a year, cuts his contract from 5 to 4 years, and also his buyout from $5 million to $4 million. His guarantee dropped from 75% to 50%.
Well, I think what's really interesting about this, and I don't think it's COVID-related at all. It might be in a roundabout way, but Oklahoma State did their 2-week investigation, uncovered no signs or indication of racism, additionally determined the underlying issue was a lack of a personal relationship between the head coach and players rather than anything racial, which I don't know how much attention that line's probably going to get, but that's an important part of it if you get down to what the beginning of the story was, right? Mm-hmm. But we're going to focus now on the punishment. And I think Oklahoma State's at times over the years looked for ways to get rid of Mike Gundy. And so, yeah, it's a punishment for him, but I think in a roundabout way it also frees them up. If they ever just get sick and tired and feel like, hey, this is finally the end of the marriage, then they've got a year less of a contract to worry about, less money. And, I think it's kind of set up for them in a beautiful way to where they kind of get what they want with him regardless, and he's also not gone this year. They still get to have him as their head football coach.
Todd Callis has been broadcasting Major League Baseball since the Mets in 1992, Phillies, Devil Rays, Rays, the Astros since 2017. He's their television broadcaster, and Todd was nice enough to respond to me and say, hey, I can come on today. And it's a great day to have Todd Callis or anyone involved in baseball. Todd, thanks for your time on SicEm365 Radio. So you were able to somewhat be a part of today's workout through the virtual or Zoom. What was that like?
Yeah, I got to see the press conference afterwards. It was I was watching a lot of MLB Network today too, so I saw a lot of different guys working out from a bunch of different teams. It's bizarre right now. I mean, everybody's kind of doing it on a limited basis, so no more than 5 players at a time on the field. Today was a little different at Minute Maid Park. The roof was open on a warm summer day, and the guys were still working out there. But no real true, full team workouts right now. It's kind of limited to 5 people at a time, and it'll be that way for a while until they go into phase 2 when they're allowed to ramp things up a little bit more.
Todd, how hard will it be for players to get fully invested in this season?
I don't think very hard, although I think if there's any players that have any concerns whatsoever with having the possibility of contracting the virus, then I think you're going to see guys maybe decide not to play. We've already seen 5 guys decide not to play this year. Mike Trout has decided he is going to play for now, but he's still thinking about it with his wife at home pregnant. So I think once the season starts and the guys that are going to opt out have already opted out, then guys are going to feel like, here we go, it's a sprint for 60 games, let's get it done. But it's going to be an unusual season no matter what.
From the Astros' point of view, is there anybody that's indicated that they're not all that comfortable and may not go through with it? Or is there anybody that, I guess, kind of watching for potentially making that decision, or are they pretty much all good to go?
Everybody seems good to go from what I've seen. Obviously, that's still subject to change because we have another 2 weeks plus, almost 3 weeks to go before opening day. But it's going to be an individual case-by-case situation. The Astros do have a couple of coaches that are in their early 70s and late 60s, and some teams have elected to tell those coaches they can work from home and not show up at the ballpark and still get paid. Not the Astros coaches, but I'm talking about the Minnesota Twins, Chili Davis of the New York Mets, and 3 coaches for the Seattle Mariners are all going to be working remotely this year, not directly with the team. But for Dusty Baker and Chris Spire and Brent Strom, even Gary Pettis to an extent, they're in the more fragile age bracket, and so I think those guys will have a decision to make. But everything I've been told indicates that they are going to be coaching and managing this season.
This is not just something that's delayed what you do in baseball with what you do broadcast for the Astros, but you've also been involved in broadcasting college football, University of South Florida basketball, and then also even the pregame with the Tampa Bay Lightning at times in the NHL. It's been like a full throttle across the board for you to get kind of shut down, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't done any football or basketball the last few years. When I joined the Astros, I just concentrated on doing their games, and then I was working with them in the off season. But yeah, it's something I'd like to eventually get back to, doing some college football games and working some college basketball games. So this whole landscape's changing, and it's going to be not just month to month or week to week. It's literally going to be day to day. So we'll find out as we get closer what that football and basketball college seasons look like. But it's certainly something that we've never seen before. We'll never see it again, hopefully, and we'll work through it here day to day as things change and evolve.
Todd, we've talked about this a little bit. Did it land pretty good? I mean, if there's a silver lining to the Astros for this, is people now kind of forgotten about how bad they were coming off at the beginning of spring training?
Yeah, I think if there was a team that ever didn't mind having no road fans to deal with, it would be the 2020 Astros. Yeah, in that you're right. In a silver lining way, it's probably not the worst thing in the world for the Astros not to deal with going around on the 2020 tour, where everybody was going to be remembering that 2017 season and giving them a hard time. But that's part of it. I think the fact that Lance McCullers was coming off Tommy John surgery, was not probably going to be able to go a full season in innings pitched. Now he doesn't have to worry about having a restriction on his innings. The fact that Justin Verlander wasn't going to be ready for opening day, and now looks like he might be able to make another one of those opening day starts that puts him again amongst the elite for the most opening day starts in the history of the game. The fact that Jose Urquidy was a year removed from pitching more innings than the Astros were comfortable with when he came off Tommy John surgery the year before. All those factors, I think the Astros are fine with having a little bit later start to the season based on that. But the fact that they're not having to deal with road fans is probably a small silver lining during all this.
I know it's hard to preview this like we normally would a regular baseball season because of all the different factors that are in play here, but just the state of the Astros as a team, as a franchise, with their talent, coaching, etc. Dusty Baker, what are just some of the initial impressions you get from him and how he's sort of meshing with the team already?
Well, Dusty's a pro's pro. Like he's seen this, he's seen stuff before, he's done everything before. He probably hasn't seen anything quite like this. But he's going to be fine. He's going to be good with this group. He's a very laid-back, pretty chill guy. He's got a lot of great connections in the game. He's got a lot of great stories to tell. And even if he's only here for a couple of years, I think he's going to make an impact on this franchise that will be felt for years to come. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Dusty can do with this group. I'm looking forward to Dusty getting, in his words, his last hurrah in the major leagues. He knows that at one point, a couple of the last 2 years, he thought he wasn't ever going to get back managing again. So this is kind of like a little bonus for him that he wasn't expecting. So I know he is looking forward to managing this team. We mentioned the health scare earlier with older coaches and managers. That's certainly something Dusty's going to be aware of, and he's going to take every precaution, like hopefully everybody else in Major League Baseball during this time.
Todd Callis, television broadcast voice of the Astros, with us on SicEm365 Radio. Obviously, they're loaded. Does a 60-game schedule benefit someone who's loaded, or does it maybe give someone who can't run the full Belmont steak, so to speak, a chance to get in the mix because it's only 60 games?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it, David. I think you're better off if you have a shorter season if you are a team with less talent. I think when you get to a 162-game schedule and you have a flaw or two, those are always exposed over the course of a full season. They might not be as readily exposed over 60 games. So I think you could see a surprise team get into the mix and maybe win a division or qualify for a wild card spot that might not have been able to, as you put it, run the full Belmont over 162 games. So I definitely think, the better teams are better served with a longer season. The cream usually rises to the top. And the teams that might have a flaw or two or a weakness or two might be able to get away with it over a 60-game schedule, especially if they go on a hot stretch to start the season.
Todd, your father was a fantastic, wonderful broadcaster for a long, long time. What was it like learning from him as you came up in the business and having that resource to go to?
It was great. I mean, I didn't know anything different than Dad broadcasting games growing up from the time I was born in Houston until the time I got into the business myself. So it was a great backdrop to grow up with that and basically have Veterans Stadium as our playground during the summer. We used to hang out there a whole lot during my formative years growing up. But watching Dad do his thing was very impactful on my decision ultimately to want to get into that field. He simply loved doing exactly what he did every day. Like he never looked at it as work, and it really isn't when you think about it. You're going to the baseball field, you're calling a baseball game, and you're hanging out, doing something you probably thought about doing and paying for season tickets your whole life. Like he was a huge fan of the game. He loved Philadelphia, and watching him do his thing and love every second of it was pretty impactful on me for sure.
I know you need to go, but Todd, I didn't even realize this, but he made his debut the year you were born in Houston.
His big league debut.
Well, how about that? The same year you're born, which would have been, I guess he would have made that in April of 65. You're born like 7 months later. Is that kind of like, kind of strange way, like full circle?
Yeah, it is kind of unusual how that's worked out. The fact that my dad started working for Houston the first year of the Astros in the Astrodome. They had been the Colt 45 in 62, 63, 64. And then they turned to the Astros in 65. He got the job after being a minor league broadcaster out in Hawaii, I guess. Ironically enough, they no longer have a minor league team out there. He met my mom out in Hawaii, and they would move to Houston, and Dad was working his first major league season in 65. I would be born later that year. The Astros and my age are now forever linked. So now that I'm the TV voice of the Houston Astros, kind of ironic when you look at the whole big picture. But yeah, born in Houston, left Houston for about 45 years, and then came back and returned there for the last 4.
Hey, keep up the great work. Good luck, and I hope you have a chance to do the games and do a lot of them. And what happens with the postseason. We appreciate your time very much. Thank you, Todd.
Hey, anytime. Thanks so much.
Craig, go ahead. Okay, that's Todd Callis, voice of the Astros television broadcaster. So his father starts in 65, the year he's born, in Houston. His dad does Philadelphia, as everyone knows, for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. Had that very distinct voice, and then he starts doing Philly after he started with the Mets, Philly, the Rays, and now the Astros since 17.
I was going to say that was probably a pretty cool job, Hawaii minor league baseball in the 1960s. I feel like that would be a pretty sweet gig, and if it was still a job, I'm sure that that would be one that a lot of people would apply for, no doubt about it. I didn't bring this up with him because I don't think there's anything he can really say on it, but one of the reports out there today is that Yordan Alvarez is not with the Astros, undisclosed reasons, but there's also the kind of thought that's been floated out there. They're not telling you who's testing positive for COVID, so that could be the case and why he's not with them and why we wouldn't know that's why he's not with them. Or it could be something else. But I know that that's not something he could really delve into as their broadcaster, so I didn't mention it. And it's also relatively recent news, but just thought I'd pass that along.
By the way, we might have a weird overlap with Todd Callis. I was trying to confirm it before he got off the phone, but when he was still with the Tampa Bay Rays, I believe that the Cobra, Jason Behringer, produced some of his games.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. Okay,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think.
The Cobra. There's only one, the Cobra.
Yeah.
321, there's only one Deontay Epps. He's here with us. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke. Thanks to Todd Callis for jumping on today. Astros broadcast voice, television, does the play-by-play. Coming up next, Sam Tecklenburg from Baylor offensive lineman to retired, and it wasn't much soon, 5 months later or so, 4 months later, he gets a call from Matt Rule in Carolina. What's he been doing? His thoughts about where we are. And then Grayson Grundhafer at 345. Sam Tecklenburg next on SicEm365 Radio.
Want the ultimate luxury, style, and power in a new SUV? Well, don't settle. Drive the Cadillac XT4, XT5, or the 7-passenger, very roomy Cadillac XT6. You can experience the thrill of owning a Cadillac XT4 right now for only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac. Richard Carr Motors is overloaded with used cars and trucks, over 100 in stock. That includes over 25 used trucks in stock, all at discounted prices. Perhaps you're looking for an SUV. Well, I pointed out you got the Cadillacs you can look at, but there's also the Buick line. The Encore, the perfect crossover SUV. It's got a roomy interior. It's packed with safety features, and it's also got the latest technology. Right now, you can get a Buick Encore for only $19,900, a saving of $6,000 at Richard Carr Motors. Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on, a local family dealer run by Baylor Bear alumni. They want the chance to earn your business. So stop by their daily disinfected showroom, see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home because, again, your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them at Richard Carr, KARR.com, or at Highway 6 at the Imperial Exit.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of health care while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of health care has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference, and that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
What are you supposed to do when you pull up behind a truck that doesn't even have a hitch? I mean, it's like looking at plumber's crack. Do you cover your kids' eyes, look away, and switch radio stations? Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, asking for your help to end this embarrassing form of truck nudity. If you have a truck, at some point you need to pull something. It could be a trailer to haul stuff off to the dump, maybe a jet ski, a boat, an RV, a horse trailer, even just a bike rack. The point is, put a hitch on your truck's backside. And at Pickup Outfitters, we actually install more hitches than anything else. Whether it's a receiver hitch, a gooseneck, or a fifth wheel, we'll cover your aspirations to not drive a nude truck. And all hitches are covered by the Pickup Outfitters Lifetime Installation Guarantee. So cover your rear end with a new hitch from Pickup Outfitters on Lake Air Drive in Waco, where we're fighting to end truck nudity in Central Texas. Check them out on our website at createacommotion.com/hitches.
This is SicEm365 Radio. This segment on Baylor Athletics on SicEm365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
Nothing like coming out of retirement at the age of 20, early 20s, and then all of a sudden, like getting ready to do something, and it's not happening. Sam Tecklenburg, former Baylor offensive lineman, one of the go-to guys in that locker room and media sessions, now with part of the Carolina Panthers, joins us out of Plano, and he's there and joined SicEm365 Radio. Tech, how you been, man? What's this been like for you? You retire, then all of a sudden you're back to playing football, but you can't do anything.
Yeah, it's been going well. I mean, it's been good to get back to training and learning the offense right now. I mean, we're doing the best we can given circumstances, and even with that, I'd say it's going pretty well so far.
What have you been doing to keep yourself in shape, especially early on when you really couldn't go anywhere?
I'm spending. I got a weight room at my house back home, so I'm lifting there, and then doing running and position drills back up at my high school back home. So able to get everything that I need from home while trying to stay safe and keep myself out of harm's way.
So, Sam, where are you mostly living right now? Have you been able to even have the chance to really get out to Carolina much?
No, haven't been out yet. I'm living back in Plano right now, my hometown, just north of Dallas. So hopefully we'll get out there soon, though, for camp. And, just living in Plano right now.
So what were you doing when Matt Rule called you?
I was watching the draft. I mean, I've been watching it all weekend just to see where some of our guys went. So yeah, I mean, I spent most of that weekend watching the draft nonstop. That was the first time I think I've ever watched it from start to finish, the whole thing. So I was doing that.
Had you been in touch with him prior to the draft? I know that the story's been told, but it's been a while now since that was in late April. What was any kind of communication between you, Carolina, or any other NFL teams, or between you and Coach Rule?
Yeah, me and Coach Rule talked a couple times the leading months up to that, and he just kind of just let me know if I was interested in playing. He still would have me. But yeah, I talked to some other teams, and I was telling them the same thing. You know, at that time, I decided I didn't want to play anymore, so I was telling them all that. But kind of when the opportunity came, I was at the point where I was wanting to play again. So I definitely took the opportunity, and I'm happy I did.
Man, do you think that maybe like just like everybody, I guess everybody almost from that coaching staff is there in Carolina now. I mean, I guess that appeal of the familiarity with Rule, but just everybody, man, it's like I don't really have a question. It just seems like a dream scenario to move from your college staff to basically your college staff at the pro level in many ways.
Yeah, I think it's a good situation for me. You know, like it was at Baylor, though, you know, it was all business there, and, you know, I expect nothing less with them going forward. So I know, you know, that's how it's going to be, but I'm just grateful for the opportunity, and I do think it is a good situation knowing some familiar faces.
So, Sam, looking back on your time at Baylor, when the changeover first happened, obviously that first year was very rough. You were one of the leaders. You had to kind of help guide them through those tough times. But what do you remember about your first impressions of Matt Rule, and just what were your thoughts at the time as that whole process got started of, you know, were you all in and thinking that it was going to work? Were you kind of like, where was your mindset at that time?
I think like a lot of the guys, I was unsure, you know, of how things were going to go. I think that whole first year just naturally took some time for everyone to kind of get used to each other. But, you know, so, yeah, I mean, that first year, I think some people were a little unsure, but I think, you know, quickly people bought in. And it was clear, you know, he knew what he was doing. He wanted the best for everyone. He was going to be tough on us, but we knew that was going to, you know, get the best results.
I have to ask you, are you at a shooting range?
I am sorry. I'm trying to mute my phone when I'm not talking.
No. This is fantastic. It's the best ambience I think we've ever had. I just had to ask you. That sounds really cool. Is that something where that allows you to get away and just kind of get some fresh air?
Well, I'm actually getting married this weekend, and I didn't do a bachelor party or anything just because I've been so busy. And my best man decided to take me out to the shooting range. So, and I was unsure of what the plans were going to be today when I agreed to it. So I told him, I was like, I'll have to step away for a few minutes. I told these guys I'll come on the radio at 3:30. So
wait a minute.
That's back-to-back. Get Grayson Grundhafer.
Yeah.
Coming up next, also getting married this week.
Yeah. We got a writer from SicEm365.com who joins us on Fridays. He's getting married this weekend. Well, congratulations. Has it been like really something that's been hard to manage, or what's it been the experience? Was this the original date, or has it been pushed back a few times?
It's the original date. You know, my mindset is, you know, there's never going to be a perfect time where it seems to get married. And even though these circumstances are extreme, we figured we'd just keep the same date and, you know, try the best we can, and just making sure, you know, everyone's healthy and safe is our biggest concern. But, you know, we were gonna do our best not to put, you know, our life on hold, and make it work if we can, you know.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. We're talking to Sam Tecklenburg. Baylor started 41 games on the offensive line. We had yesterday a friend of yours, a teammate of yours, and he kind of got on me a little bit, didn't he, Blake Blackmar? Because I said he had started 37 of his last, 38 games, and he was, excuse me, I was out of the game for the first snap for somebody. They had Tanner Thrift do something. How important to be a part of that, to start 41 games through so many different things that Baylor football was dealing with. How proud are you about the longevity and also the continuity there?
I'm proud of it. I mean, I've always thought, you know, the best ability is availability. I know a lot of people say that, but I mean, to have started, you know, all those games, and then to, you know, have Blackmore and Pat Lawrence do the same thing, it was, you know, the offensive line, I don't think ever got to a level where we would have hoped, but at least, you know, we were available, and I knew we were all in, and we were out there every Saturday doing the best we could. And so, yeah, I think that's a credit to those two. And, you know, we put a lot of work in to make sure we were ready to go every Saturday the past few years.
You were a part of building the I guess the house was torn down, and then you were a part of helping build it back up again. I asked Blake yesterday about the fact he was a part of it, but then he couldn't enjoy last year because he was not a part of it. What was the thought about being able to finish, even though you didn't finish against Oklahoma and or with Georgia, to be on the team, Sam, that really kind of turned it back around and set the foundation, the standard for the future?
It means a lot, I mean, and the success we had last year, there's no doubt was built on the foundation of guys, like Black Mars, the seniors that year, and Taylor Young and Brian Nance, the seniors the year before. I mean, it could be easy to forget about those guys, but last year's success was built by those guys, as well as a lot of people on the team, obviously. But I'll never, credit due where it's due, and those guys deserve all the credit for the success we had last year. I wish they could have been a part of it, but I know all of them are, so proud, and that they can have some peace knowing that they built that.
What is it like to talk to the guys now, and you guys can reminisce about having 6 to 8 guys in a room when you 1 year, and now they're going to have to learn each other's names. There's so many dudes there.
Sorry, can you say that again? I didn't hear you.
What's it like to talk to the guys, the offensive linemen, when you guys had that first year rule? You had 6, 7, 8 guys in the room for a little while there, and didn't know who the was going to happen if 4 guys were hurt and what you're going to do, and now the room's just so chock full of dudes they got to wear name tags.
Yeah, it's definitely good. It's a good situation to be in. That's one position in football you do want a lot of depth at, and in college, you have the benefit of if you can, however many guys you can have on scholarship or walk on. I mean, you want to get as many guys in that room as you can. So yeah, it's good that they have some depth now, and even better that there's some continuity. There's some guys that have been there for a few years now, have some experience. So it's a good situation that they're in.
Who are a couple maybe of those returning linemen that stand out to you, Sam? You got Newman and Galvin, and there's many, many others as we've mentioned. But who are a couple guys that stood out to you during your time?
Definitely Xavier. I mean, he's a guy who's going to have to take over that room, and Connor Galvin too. Already coming up on his junior year now, and unbelievable ability. Hard worker. Both of those guys, are special players. Some of the better guys I've played with. So it was great to play with them, and I'm looking forward to kind of seeing, them taking charge of that room and seeing what they can do this year.
So tonight, when you guys do what you're doing now, and that's awesome that you're able to go do some things, your best man and all that, and we're thrilled for you. So what's going to be an easier way to fall asleep or have a restless night of sleep? You're about to play for the Big 12 championship, or you're about to get married?
Getting married's the easy part for me, honestly. I mean, I'm really lucky. My fiance's health is awesome, and she does so much for me and for my life, and it's a very easy decision. I'm hoping everything goes well this weekend, just with all the restrictions that are kind of being put in place. Hopefully everything can work out, for my sake, but also especially for her. She's worked really hard to, make sure this wedding goes well and stay safe. But, Big 12 championship would probably, put a little more stress on me just because, you gotta go out and do it. That's not a given. I think hopefully, assuming all goes well, this weekend's a given that she will marry me and nothing will go wrong.
Yeah.
So we're hoping, as long as everything holds up from a restriction standpoint, that we're able to get married and have some family there. But yeah, definitely Big 12 championship for sure. A lot's got to go to beat a team like Oklahoma.
Now, listen, Sam, I'm Catholic, and I'm wondering what Catholic weddings are doing now to speed things along, because believe me, they're long. So do you have a shortened Sam? Do you, and then you can just get to the reception?
Yeah, we're gonna do everything we can. We both agreed. We don't want to be up there too long for the actual ceremony, so we're gonna get the job done, and get to it while trying to keep everyone who's there safe and healthy. Number one thing is we are excited, but we do want everyone to leave the thing healthy, so we kind of want to get in and get out a little bit in regards to the ceremony, but still have a special day and special weekend.
Man, we're happy for you. That's awesome. The way things have flipped with getting back in the NFL. Good luck with what happens down the road, with hopefully teams reporting at the end of the month. And also, again, congratulations on tomorrow. We're about to go from someone who's about to get married in Sam Tecklenburg to somebody who covered you in Grayson Grundhafer. Congratulations. Have fun. Enjoy the day.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. He didn't say that to me. He just told me. And again, he went to Plano High School. He said he's up there. And next thing you know, he kind of started referring to it in almost like when I'm at home.
Yeah.
Sounds like a chore he's got tomorrow. So it's like, it doesn't, I know for her, it's a huge deal. For him, it's a huge deal too. But he's obviously not stressing too much over like the actual ceremony and things like that. So for him, it's like just wake up, show up, say I do, and do your job. Like he said, do your job. It's like football.
Skeet shooting or whatever he might be doing out at the range, that's awesome. Good for him.
Yeah, I think they were probably more on the range. Like we would have heard somebody going, pull!
Yeah. I think they were just shooting at targets probably.
Maybe just cans on a stump out somewhere on a leash, whatever. But that's awesome. Now, we go from him. I didn't think Grayson was going to be available. He's had to do some things. This is not the wedding day might be the easiest part. It's all the other stuff leading up to it. So I thought Colt would be here today. And then Grayson goes, no, I'm in. We are going to have fun with him. Coming up next, he's got a long way to go because Tecklenburg just gave us, the day before the wedding. So coming up, that was Sam Tecklenburg. Earlier we had Todd Callis, Astros TV broadcaster. Joe Green at 4. But coming up next, Grayson Grundhoefer, SicEm365.com. This is SicEm365 Radio. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive. They have a kids club that starts on Monday. I think it starts with children ages 8 until early teens. This is going to be a chance. Shelly is going to be running this class. And what it is kids a chance to get out, get some fresh air. And I know that you got to be smart about what's going on right now. And they are. Everything is constantly being wiped down and disinfected. Spin classes have been outside. A lot of the training has been outside. And then, of course, they still have, as I mentioned, they disinfect and wipe down the weights, the machines, and so you can go about your business, and social distancing continues as well. So they have this kids club that starts tomorrow that runs from starts Monday, July 6th, and runs through the 17th. A chance for kids to go just run around, which maybe they haven't had a chance to do. And they'll be smart about how many in a group and also being social distancing. And then on top of that, that's where you can work out. That's where you yourself can change your life, whether it's just trying to lose a few pounds or get better fit. Trainers, Christy London and Randall Corley, 40-plus group exercise classes. It all started for me in March of 2013 at 282.5 pounds, and it's continued every day. No matter some of the bumps and the bruises, you can do this, as Christy told me back 7 years ago. And you can, but you have to walk through the front door at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. Oh, by the way, if you have children during this time, they also have an opportunity for them to be watched. I used to call it, I said it was a daycare. It's not a daycare. It's an opportunity for your children to be babysat or watched while you're working out. It's Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Summertime means vacation time. And while this summer may be different, at Allen Samuels, you can always count on our huge summer clearance event. It's on. We're moving out all remaining new 2020s. Every Dodge and Chrysler car and SUV. Every Ram truck, and we haven't left out Jeep. They've got to go too. Deep discounts, special factory offers, and financing. It's time to say goodbye. Adios 2020s. Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Drive forward.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.CamilleJohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors. Elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday, 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday, 7 to 7, and personal trainers, Christy London and Randall Corley. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna, and now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Grayson Grundhafer of SicEm365.com. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
We will hear from Grayson Grundhafer momentarily. In fact, Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, Deontay Epps, David Smoke. We're now joined by Grayson Grundhafer. Grayson, we just had Sam Tecklenburg on, and we didn't know this when I invited him to come on today. He's getting married tomorrow. Have you guys did you know that?
I had no idea, but that is so cool. Wow, what a small world. We're both getting married tomorrow. Very cool.
How did you pull off being able to do a segment with us, because you have had to miss some with things that are the duties of about to get married?
Yeah, I have some free time today. I have the rehearsal a little bit later today, and then the rehearsal dinner tonight. So I had a few minutes, and I had missed a couple with y'all, and I just couldn't do it. It didn't feel right. I hadn't talked to y'all in a while, it felt like.
So you have time. You've got everything on the checklist done. There's nothing that we're taking you away from.
Yeah, I did it. I did it literally probably an hour before y'all called. I made sure I had everything done. Yeah, we're good to go. We're ready to go. And I think that's just because, my fiance did a great job, planning everything so that I didn't have a whole lot to do last minute,
Yeah, she did. As me and Grayson talked about on Trust the Podcast, these last few weeks they've been planning it out. Big deal to have it finally here. So, Grayson, let's talk some football. Kyron Drones, quarterback commit, finished, depending on where you looked, as high as 3rd or maybe perhaps 7th on the rankings for the Elite 11 quarterbacks after the event this week. 3-star player across the services right now, but did he have a big enough showing? Do you think that's going to bump up? And what did he do turning some heads as far as the Baylor brand this past week?
Well, Craig, I mentioned on Twitter actually today, everyone was talking about him deserving a 4-star, but I just want to make sure that everyone knows SicEm365 had him as a 4-star for months. So everyone's finally catching up to the party a little bit, but Kyron had a great week of playing just football, and really, it's really cool to see it in a competitive environment like that, because you can really compare guys, and it's something that's been missing throughout the whole off season with no camp. So getting to finally see that, he was awesome. He put on a show. I know I got to watch the target drill, which was the last day, the day that he actually performed the best. He really rose to another level that day. And from everything I've heard, it was that last day. He was like the second best quarterback on that last day, and it really propelled him, higher up in the rankings and propelled him into the final Elite 11, which is such a huge honor. Baylor has had quite a few guys make it to the finalist point, but actually being in the Elite 11, he's the first quarterback since Jarrett Stidham to actually be in the final 11.
Well, he obviously had a fantastic 2 or 3 days. His father joined us as well. How much does that help? He's a guy that I think will pull others in. I think Murphy at DeSoto will do that among the others in the group. Who's the wide receiver, Craig, out of Mansfield that's so highly thought of? Is it Mansfield?
There's Roger Daniels from Duncanville.
Duncanville, and then others as well. But Shelley or something like that. But Hugh
Presley.
How much does that help when you have someone like that go out who's committed to you, and then he performs like that among others nationally?
Well, it's pretty huge because, all the eyes are on him. And I think a lot of people got to see exactly who Baylor is getting at quarterback. And that definitely is exciting. The other huge part about it is all the guys you just named are kind of up the, I-35 corridor, so to speak. They're all kind of mainly Dallas area guys, but Kyron Drones is in that Houston area. And that's an area that Baylor definitely has to make some waves and finish strong. And, they have a couple guys commit from that area, but I think Kyron could do a huge, huge job trying to land some guys in that area. And then also, of course, just throughout the state of Texas, seeing a guy who's the leader of the class, the quarterback, being so highly touted, and then obviously getting so much exposure from this weekend. It's massive. Quarterback's always the leader of the class, so it's really big.
Do you expect anything surprising to come down here in the next week or so?
I think that Baylor could actually be in line to maybe land another commit coming up here in the next few days. We'll see. I think there's going to be a few decisions that pop up over the July 4th weekend. I think most of them will not go Baylor's way. I think there's a few guys that have Baylor offers that are making decisions. Tyreek Chappelle out of Pennsylvania and Stone Ebby, who's in Texas. Both of those guys are making decisions this weekend. I don't believe they'll be Baylor. But there could be one coming up in the next week maybe. So definitely keep an eye on Baylor recruiting, even though, you're having fun over the July 4th weekend. There could be a big surprise and maybe some fireworks in Baylor's direction.
Oh, what a tease there by Grayson Grundhafer. So they've got some offensive linemen as a part of this class. They've got their running back in Jenkins. D-line's filling up. They've got some D-backs, wide receivers. They've got their quarterback. Grayson, what's the focus now for this recruiting class? Is there a particular position that you maybe haven't seen them, quite address as much as others? Where do you kind of see them focusing their attention now?
Yeah, so there's definitely two positions that need to be pointed out when talking about an area they have to address and need to land a guy or two guys. So the first is the offensive line. So right now, Tate Williams and, of course, Connor Heffernan are the commits. But both of those guys are being recruited as guards or centers. And so they're interior offensive linemen. They really need tackles. And I think Baylor wants to take two tackles in this class. And they don't have one currently. Now, Tate Williams could grow into that, but right now he's being recruited as a guard. So that's definitely a position that they're focused on. A name to keep an eye on is Jack Layrear out of Highland Park. He's been a huge target for the Bears for a long, long time. He would be a massive addition. And then the other position to keep an eye on is the cornerback spot. Baylor has Tevin Williams already locked in there at the cornerback position, but they need to land one more in this class at least, maybe two more. And so we'll see how that kind of ends up. A name to keep an eye on there is Cameron Bonner out of Houston St. Thomas. He's more of an athlete type. He could play wide receiver or cornerback, but a very, very gifted athlete who Baylor would love to play on either side of the ball.
Grayson, when you look and some of the stuff that Jason has asked us when we answer questions from him on the homework assignment is what I call it, with the various members of SicEm365.com, when we discuss the best competitive position battles, I mentioned the right-hand side of the offensive line. Craig, which one did you say?
I think I went with just the backup corners and what that battle's going to look like.
Paul, which one did you bring up? Did you bring up the defensive line? I can't remember.
Yeah, mine was defensive line.
What did you say, Grayson, and how do you want to kind of respond to that?
Yeah, so the pop quiz every week, great time. Great time to get my homework updated. But I will tell you, for that answer, I went with a really, really intriguing battle to me, and it's the outside wide receiver position opposite of Tyquan Thornton. I think we all know Tyquan is locked in. That's a guy who could potentially end up being a first-team All-Big 12 preseason guy. He was on my ballot for first-team wide receiver. But on the opposite side, Baylor's looking at guys like Jared Atkinson to maybe step up and have the huge season his final year at Baylor, or a guy like Yusuf Terry, who had an amazing year just on the practice squad and then the limited action that he got. But, yeah, I know a lot of people close to the Baylor program. He was sensational last year, and he's a guy who everyone is very, very excited about. So that matchup, which one of those guys really steps up and lives up to the hype, because Jared Atkinson was a huge recruit as well. So both those guys are going to be very competitive heading into next year. And then, of course, you don't want to forget about guys like Jalen Ellis or Jackson Gleason. But I feel like it's those two guys who are going to be battling to give them some size on the outside.
All right, man. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Good luck. This is your moment, right?
Yeah, it definitely is, and I'm really excited about it. So thanks for having me on, guys. Great time as always.
Good luck. Yeah, good luck with the rehearsal dinner and all that goes with it. And they've already had all the bachelor parties and all that stuff.
Yeah,
is that
he
right?
already did
He was
that.
in New Orleans that one weekend.
Yeah.
So good luck with him. I guess I was stunned. I thought he was going to skip out on us again. It's been like 4 of the last 6 weeks. But he was full throttle. Craig, he kind of teased us a little bit, right?
Yeah, he did. And I think he made a similar tease on Trust the Podcast. If you haven't listened to that yet, we had a bunch of questions in the mailbag this week and went over a lot of things. So if you haven't checked out that podcast, it does typically air, I think. It'll air after today, right?
Yep.
So follow us today if you've never listened to it before, or you can just get it on your phone and whatever podcast stream that you use, Apple or whatever. But yeah, we discussed a lot, and he's had a lot on his plate. His future wife, far more so, considering that she's not only been planning a wedding, but she's also in the medical field down there in San Antonio, in Bexar County in particular, where they've been a little bit busy. So she's had kind of the double whammy of all that. And I'm sure she's going to be quite relieved after tomorrow is over with, for sure.
Well, something that's interesting, baseball, at least for now, with a little bit of a relief. John Hyman reporting 3,185 players tested and staff, Major League Baseball, as they returned, 38 positive tests.
31 are players, 7 are staff, 19 teams have at least one positive test. The Red Sox, multiple positive tests.
But if you would have said, hey, how many of the 3,185 players and staff I would have thought maybe 100, something like that. That doesn't mean there's not others that might have been around. But I think that's because there was a lot of, oh, my God, why are they getting together? They shouldn't do that. I'm not saying a lot, but there was some of that. You got to get tested. You got to find out where you are. 3,185 and 38 positive. You now seclude them or whatever you call it, quarantine them, and you're smart.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, none of these players, and I don't want to jinx this in any way, but because it can change, but based on the information that we have, and like the real concrete information, not all the BS that's been thrown out from all the politicians and people with agendas, but just the actual facts, they're in a very low-risk group as far as dying from this virus, very low risk, but it's also if you look at people in their 20s right now, it's a group that's kind of exploded in positives. And I know the concern is not necessarily the players. It's the players' wives. It's the players' young children. It's the players' parents and older relatives. And so they're not going to be around a lot of those people. And that's what we discussed is going to be really hard for a guy like a Mike Trout, who's got a wife who's expecting, and others who maybe have newborns. I mean, that's a really tough choice to make. And some have made the tough choice to just not play this year. But it's going to be different. At the same time, we are never, I don't think, going to get to a point where there are 0 positive cases. And we're definitely not going to get to that point before there's any type of vaccine. And the vaccine's, I mean, most likely just going to be the same thing as getting a flu shot. I don't think it's going to mean that you never get COVID. I think it just means you get a milder version of COVID so you don't get a strong version of COVID. So, I mean, and I know this is kind of what you said all along as well, and it's so hard to kind of wrap our heads around. I've done everything I can precaution-wise. I've been as safe as possible, not for myself, but for other people. But at some point, the numbers are what they are. And I can understand if we're freaking out over like 75% infection rates and things like that. But we're looking at infection rates that, yes, they're rising right now, but at some point, like, we do have to continue to live life. And maybe this is a stronger flu. I'm not saying there's no need for concern or anything like that, but there's going to be positives, and Anybody who's freaking out over like, oh my God, I can't believe they're playing baseball. You knew there was going to be positives. You're a fearmonger and you're peddling fear porn. And that's what a lot of media does nowadays because we eat it up and just get crazy over things. But there's going to be positives and they're going to have to play baseball. I mean, at some point, if not this season, the next season, because COVID's not going to go anywhere. So,
well, I mean, and they're no different than anybody else who, who has to, they'll go to a job and they'll wear a mask out in public and they're no different. I mean, they're not, the biggest thing they'll be different with sports is that there's not going to be 60,000 people in a place watching them, which is the bigger issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. 25 people in a place, so, playing baseball, not as big of a deal, but, 60,000 watching those people do it, that's where it just goes.
I think everyone would just right now say, okay, we won't go if we can just watch.
Yeah.
If they can just play games and we can have something else to discuss, results, previews, games, lineups, hitters, stats. I think a lot of us would be happy with that. But yeah, that's a pretty good number. 1.2% of the 3,185 samples collected positive tests.
And I would have to think, there's some college programs who have had higher numbers, and the NBA's come out with their various positives, and like there's a team here that has 1 or 2, and there's a team there that has 1 or 2, and there's some teams that have none, and so I think it's probably, without having done all the research, when compared to college program results and things, probably about the same across the board. And maybe that's just what the rate is, and that's just what we're going to have to live with.
Yeah, it just all depends on how you want to look at it. Coming up next, pro football, college football, Texas High School and Texas Sports Hall of Famer Joe Green from Temple Dunbar High School on SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday. Pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasoning, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace, doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at TexasTrialLawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
A Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI. This is SicEm 365 Radio.
People ask that question, what does Joe really mean? Yeah, that was the perfect name for him. He hated to lose. That was part of his demeanor. He's here to win. He's here to beat that guy across from him. And he's not going to be nice about it.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
He's a part of every Hall of Fame you could imagine. The College Football Hall of Fame with North Texas, obviously the Pro Football Hall of Fame, his career with the Steelers, the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, the High School Football Hall of Fame. He was at Dunbar High School in Temple. Temple High School honored him as well in the last handful of years. And Joe Green joins us on SicEm 365 Radio. Joe, as always, thank you so much for being a part of the show with us. What does it mean to you? What does your heart do when one of those grandkids walks up and calls you Papa Joe?
Well, it does me well, you know. I've been in the right place at the right time, and the timing has been very good for Joe Green, and I've been blessed for sure.
You played for one of the great coaches in the history of the NFL, and Chuck Noll. What do you still hear in your head, advice or things, or coaching from him today, even when you watch football or just think about him?
Well, probably the number one thing is that he would say all the time, get your mind right. And over time, you might not think that, what does that mean? And after a while, you know that it's get your mind on what you're doing. Concentrate, be focused, pay attention to the teaching that you're getting, pay attention to your teammates, and understand what the goal is. And I realized that when you did get your mind right and focus on where you were and what the job was about, it got a little easier. It didn't get easy, but it got a little easier. Mm-hmm. And you were, me personally, I was just so thrilled at going through the process of being a Pittsburgh Steeler, being there with Coach Nolan in the organization. I was there my first year when we were 1-13, and I participated on those teams that eventually won 4 Super Bowls. So I was there through the transformation. I was there through the growth process. I was there when Terry Bradshaw was Terry Bradshaw, and before he became that, before Mel Blount became Mel Blount, before Franco Harris became Franco Harris, and John Stallworth became John Stallworth. All of those guys, we came in real close to one another, and we paid attention, and we eventually got our minds right about what we were trying to do. And that means paying attention to your coaching, paying attention to your teaching, and not get yourself too big above all of that, meaning that you think you got it and you know it and you're not listening to anyone. And I can tell you from personal experiences through living it all that those things do creep in, and they take away from the job you have at hand when you think you're the guy.
Mm-hmm. Joe, I know this is probably trying to asking you like to pick a favorite child, so it's a little bit of an unfair question, but of the 4 Super Bowl wins, is there one that holds any extra special meaning to you, or are they all about the same?
Well, that's been asked before, and it's elementary, my dear Watson. If you don't get the first one, you can't get 2, 3, or 4. So it was the first one, and no doubt about it, the second and the third and the fourth were important, and there were things that happened in those games. In the second one, Super Bowl 10 versus your Cowboys, Lynn Swann caught some incredible passes. One in particular was the one where he elevated a foot out of bounds in the air and came back inbounds. The Super Bowl 13 was John Stallworth. Stallworth catching a 75-yard pass from Terry Bradshaw, and in the third quarter, I think, and then Rocky Blyer catching a 20-yard pass or something like that in the corner of the end zone before the half ended. And it took him about, maybe 10 seconds to get it all done. But Rocky can talk about that play for 35 minutes. Outstanding.
Yeah, we've had
and
him. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, and, in Super Bowl 14, again, Stallworth and Swann making some great catches. Stallworth to catch one to put the game away, so to speak, and Swann caught one at the end of the first half to put us back in the ball game. So I remember a lot of those plays, and I go back to Super Bowl 9, the first one was Franco running the ball up the middle on a trap and setting a Super Bowl record that lasted for a long, long time. So I've had some great experiences with that team and those guys in all of those Super Bowls, but without Super Bowl 1, we couldn't have gotten 10, 13, and 14.
We've had Rocky Blyer on at Super Bowl Radio Row before, and believe us, we understand what you mean. He could take one question and go 25 minutes. He's such a dear guy, but man, yeah, you're exactly
yes,
right.
He is.
In this day and age of where we are in America, Joe, we see a lot of people who are trying to understand perhaps what it was like when you were younger, when you were at Dunbar High School, or Ken Houston was at Lufkin Dunbar High School, or others were at schools like that. Temple High School honored you with a field, I think it was 5 years ago, to kind of bring you into Temple ISD. What were some of the experiences? Did you find, or did you how did you not give up when things seemed to be against you when you were playing at Temple Dunbar High School?
Well, in the neighborhood, and I was thinking about this when they honored me by putting my name on the field out there in the area that we used to call Crestview. And the guys, the teenagers, the young people, we would play sports. We'd play baseball, and we would never had 9, but we had enough that we could have someone on offense, someone on defense, and someone to pitch the ball and someone to catch it. And then we would go take that group of guys and we'd go to the next neighborhood and play football. And we would also not have enough guys, but then we'd go to the next neighborhood and play basketball. And during the summer times, we did that all day long. And that was great. And you didn't think about what was missing. We were playing with what we had, and that was the fun of it. Not dealing with what we hoped for and what was missing in terms of guidance, equipment, feel, all of that. It was just the guys that were participating in it. We had fun with ourselves. When you talk about athletes, this morning, I spoke with a guy, Clifford Campbell. people in Temple might know about him, but I was watching Dunbar play when I was in the 7th and 8th grade, watching this guy run the football. And he was outstanding. And if the times had been changed, you know, he would have been the guy that we were talking about today as a Hall of Fame guy in Texas, potentially as a Hall of Fame guy in the National Football League, because he had that talent. But nevertheless, we can talk about him as being a Hall of Fame character guy. Sure can. Clifford Campbell.
Joe Green with us on SicEm365 Radio.
Joe, the defense you guys played on was just so deep with guys, but you guys were all kind of famous for your mean streak. I mean, your nickname is Mean Joe Green, but Jack Lambert was on that defense as well, and equally fiery. Was one of you more fiery than the other, or was that just kind of a collective feeding off each other?
Well, let me tell you now, the meanest guy was Ernie Holmes.
Really?
Yes, he was. Uh-huh. And the second meanest guy was Donnie Shell, number 31, the safety. He didn't take any gruff off to anybody. But Lambert was all the way live. He was. No doubt about it. You can't take anything away from Lambert. Jack was like, I think he went 6'4" and a half. And he, dripping wet, he was like 212, 215 pounds. But you never would have known that the way he played. I mean, he brought it every game, and he would deliver a blow. He could make the plays on the inside, in line, and he could go to the sideline and run people down. And we all remember Super Bowl 14 when the Pittsburgh Steelers were trailing the Rams out there at basically their home stadium in Pasadena. And the Steeler fans rose up in the stands and said, defense, defense, defense. And Lambert went back to the middle as deep as he could get in our cover two defense. He got right down the middle of those hashes and intercepted that ball, and we were going the other way. And that was just 2 plays before Stallworth made that great catch to turn the game around.
You know, that's you guys were so dominant. Everyone knew, and the defense was amazing, and eventually the offense with Bradshaw. The continuity of the Steelers, Joe, and you also then were with them in the organization following your career. The continuity, when you see so many people are impatient when a team doesn't win or a coach doesn't win or someone's a general manager, there's just constant changing and turmoil when it comes to jobs. How have the Steelers, I guess the Rooney family's the answer, but asking you who've been a part of it, that they've had 3 coaches since the late 60s in Noel, Cowher, and now Mike Tomlin.
I'm going to confirm what you just said. The Rooney family. They did not panic when Chuck started off at 1-13, and we won 5 games. His second year, 6 games, maybe his third year. The fourth year, I think that we won 10 and got into the playoffs. But in today's climate, Chuck never would have gotten to the 4th year. And I think that the message is that you have to know what you're doing when you start off, believe in the people that you hire, let them do the job, get out of the way.
Mm-hmm. That's the smart way to do it.
Yeah.
Paul, anything else?
That's why they've been so. I mean, I can think of 3 little dust-ups the Steelers have had to deal with in all the years, and they deal with things really quickly. It's just,
yeah. The one, number 84, that we had.
Antonio Brown.
We didn't get that. We didn't get that one done quick enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you have done back? if in case there was a lost sheep, not that everybody, even though you mentioned what you said earlier in the interview about everybody not getting full of themselves or getting too far ahead of themselves, and it was hard, and it was something that tested you and others. What would you guys have done? How would you have handled Antonio Brown back in the 70s?
Well, let me say this. I think that somebody other than the coach would have had to pull him aside and let him know what he was doing wasn't to steal away. And I think that was the glue that held us together. It wasn't Joe Green. It wasn't Terry Bradshaw. It wasn't Jack Lambert. It wasn't Len Swan or Stallworth or even John Cole. It was a collection of all of those guys at some point in time over the course of the season that stepped up and showed leadership in their own given way. And I think that was the difference. We had a message coming from the head coach, and we all bought in. And we had to share that with one another. And I think that's the difference, I think. Of guys sharing what they believe is the glue. They believe what is the direction that the organization is pointing us in. And excuse me. The ultimate goal is not to favor one player over another. The ultimate goal is to win. And when that's the goal, then we all can buy into that. I can't buy into pushing or supporting Joe Green to be the highest paid player or be the Hall of Fame player or make the Pro Bowl. That's not the goal. That's not the goal to have everyone, the top guy, do all the commercials or do any commercials. The goal is to win football games. And when you see that, that means everyone is basically getting treated fairly. And when one guy gets out of line, the entire team on their own finds a way to get the message to that player.
Joe, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you while we have the opportunity. As a black man in this country, 70-plus years old, you've seen a lot. You lived through the civil rights movement, and I'm sure you've seen what's been going on with the protests around the country. That although that's kind of slowed down a little bit, but hopefully the conversation is still going on. Just your perspective on where we are as a country right now, and your thoughts, I guess, if any, on where you think we need to go, where we're headed, and how we can get better.
Well, I am 73 right now, and in all of my adult life, I think I've managed to stay inside of myself and be the best that I could be, and that's what I want to do going forward with Joe, is be the best person I can be. With everyone in all situations. And I think that's where we should be. I think I go back to Dr. King, back to his March on Washington. When I saw it on TV, and I think I was probably in the 9th or 10th grade. And through his efforts and through his commitment for peaceful change, I think that from a national standpoint, his movement had the longest tenure and the legs to share with the country and with all people. And I think that that's where we should be right now. No doubt about it. The layers of social injustice was definitely deeper then than it is now. And I think that all the efforts that from since that time to now have peeled back some of those injustices. But I think that Dr. King movement and his message, starting in the pulpit, going into the streets, as protesting peacefully, and identifying everyone. Black Lives Matter too. Black Lives Matter too. And I think that with that message, we could all be incorporated into a one nation instead of being fractured the way we are now. And I think that that's, when you started in the pulpit, I think that that's a way to help penetrate some of those other layers of social injustice that goes on, that they talk about it all the time on Sundays, but they're not being truthful. So that's the direction. This is my direction for me. I dare to tell anyone else how to run their lives. That's a difficult task.
Thank you,
we
Joe.
need laws to control it, but
yeah,
we need laws, but a law can't get in a person's heart and make them right.
Thank you for putting it in perspective the way you can. Thank you so much. We've had you on a handful of times, and every time it's just fantastic. I know I got a longtime Steelers fan, Carl Campbell. He is just like drooling over this, and so are people, whether they're Steelers fans or not. But Joe, stay safe, be smart, and we know you will, and we hope to hear you and talk with you again sometime down the road.
Thank you, and the pleasure is mine. I'll be in Temple sometimes this fall.
Okay, good. That'd be great. That's Joe Green, the great Hall of Famer, and everything you could play at a level. Texas High School Hall of Fame, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, College Football Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame. Had the great Coca-Cola commercial. We didn't ask him about that because we've had him on so many times.
Everybody asked him about that. Yeah.
I think I don't think he gets tired of it, but I think sometimes you just got to do something else.
I watched a little bit of Joe Green, A Football Life today, when I was trying to pull that clip about Franco Harris talking about how he lived the mean Joe Green when he was on the field, and watching him get after the officials. And it reminded me of a story that Leroy Coleman, who's now at La Vega, played. They were high school teammates at Temple Dunbar with Joe Green. And in high school, the officials, when he was a high school player, called him Mr. Green. The adults, Mr. Green. That was offsides.
I always, that team was so good. And he meant, he's the last of the remaining Steel Curtain.
Mm-hmm.
I think as far as the front, L.C. Greenwood, Dwight White, and I always forget the other guy's name, Furness maybe or something like that. I always L.C. Greenwood, Joe Green, Dwight White. Golly, it's a big name.
I'm not at all looking at Wikipedia because this is out of my age range.
Yeah,
but
it's just that they were so damn good defensively. And then what happened is the offense caught up.
Dwight White, Ernie Holmes.
The one he mentioned was like,
Greenwood,
Ernie
Holmes.
I think, Craig, eventually became a professional wrestler.
He appeared at a WrestleMania, I know for sure. They'd had a WrestleMania, it was like 2 or 3, where they did a battle royal that had NFL guests. And so, like...
Jack Lambert would have been a great one.
Yeah, but they had... Ernie Holmes was a part of it, and there was a couple Cowboys I want to think that were a part of it as well. I can't quite remember now at the top of my head, but also a guy who's got both his college and his pro football jerseys retired at their respective school and franchise. And I don't know. I guess Temple doesn't have his number retired, but if they do, I'm just missing out on that.
Yeah, what Temple did, and I remember,
and you can't do that at the high school ranks all the time.
No.
So I get that.
But what they did is let's see.
They named the field.
They named the field after him.
I'm just saying it's cool that he's got his college and pro football jerseys retired for the teams he played for.
Yeah.
And if they did that at Temple, he'd have that retired too. But just incredible career.
The Mean Joe Green Community Football Field dedicated in his honor in Temple back in 2015. We have Brian Etheridge on the show.
We do.
Oh, God, I was hoping we could go 13 weeks full without this, but I can't help it. He's become, like, I do endorsements for Waco Custom Marketplace, and Paul's had the food. I haven't yet given Deontay some of the tastings of that. Well, we've done some things, but the steaks and things, and Craig's had it. So many have. You now you might as well be the one that endorses them. You were down like a week or two ago and you got some product. Was it last weekend? A tri-tip?
Last weekend, yeah.
And then you came back this weekend, and thank you for letting us know you were in town, but you came back this weekend and you loaded up the Yeti again. What did you get this time?
Well, I had my two daughters with me, so I couldn't have them around y'all. That's that's the one part of it.
No doubt.
No, let's see, I got beef ribs last time, the tri-tip. The beef ribs are about to go on the smoker right now. They've been, I got them rubbed down this morning before I left on the drive down. And then I picked up 2 tri-tips, a big beef tenderloin, 3 big ribeyes, and then 2 fillets.
Wow.
So I'm loaded up. So my wife and I are doing a keto diet. Lost quite a bit of weight from it. Feel really great. And they're helping. I mean, going over there and picking that up, the selection has been great. Everybody in there has been great when I talk to them. I don't go down there with a certain thing I'm getting, but I go in there and look, and I've cooked enough times that you know what you're looking for, and they have it, and I'm able to show those on Twitter and Instagram a little bit, and everybody's pretty happy with it. So that tri-tip was unbelievable. I never had cooked one, and came out a perfect medium rare. Even my in-laws loved it. So that's the endorsement you can have.
I'm telling you right now, their steaks and what they do with everything, but they're customized however you want to get. I have usually about 1.5 inches maybe thick bone-in ribeyes, and their fillets, bacon wrapped or not, are just monstrous.
I'll tell you, I can tell a big difference just in their chicken breasts, like the quality of the meat versus just buying it off the grocery store.
Yeah, I just wanted to drop you in because I was going to endorse them. It's 4th of July. They're open tomorrow, for a pretty big chunk of the morning, early afternoon. So they're available. I was there earlier today, and I've never seen more cars parked on the side, in front, circling around, parking in the place next to them. And they were all walking out with a box of something like you did, like I did, and like many others did as well. Man, appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate your time.
Anytime, David.
Brian Etheridge, Waco Custom Marketplace's #1 endorser now.
Yeah.
And he puts the pictures up on his Twitter feed, and they're open now till 6. So go by. I'm telling you now, you will not regret it, whether it's tri-tip or you want to get a brisket or you want to get seafood or poultry or pork. They got the sausage, smoked meats. And then on top of that, if you want to get like a cookie cake with all the United States red, white, and blue.
Well, you can get some beer as well.
Beer.
I mean, you walk in, the cooler's right there.
They have the charcoal, the seasonings, the rubs, the salsa, all that.
Yeah, they don't have like the full-blown beer Salino. Like you walk in, there's like 30 packs of everything. But no, they got a selection, though, along with everything else. So, I mean, it really can be, for a lot of people out there, your one-stop shop. And not only that, one of the things I enjoyed when we did shows there was just kind of scouring the couple of snack styles they have, like all the trail mixes, and they've also got like all the honey and sauces and everything, marinades and things like that. I mean, it's a really cool place it doesn't take you long to get through there. I mean, it's just a couple of aisles, and they've got the butcher counter and all of that. But it's fun to walk through there and just see all the cool little snacks and stuff they have.
Yeah, that's a great place again for 4th of July. If you need still something for the grill or the smoker or everything else in between, you can go to Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive, open tonight until 6. They'll be open tomorrow and early afternoon as well. Brian Bauer and that place, they've done a great job, an incredible job. By the way, I got quick news on Joey McGuire and Sam Tecklenburg. We'll have that, but golf course designer Waco's Chet Williams next on SicEm365 Radio.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through. And business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, so we're back here as we continue this 4 o'clock hour. Joey McGuire, the one and only Baylor assistant head coach. So we put up the Sam Tecklenburg interview. He's getting married this weekend. Grayson's getting married as well. Joey McGuire just sent me a note. You'll appreciate this. I am doing Tecklenburg's wedding this weekend. It's the first time he's ever done a wedding.
I've done weddings. I've done a wedding.
What?
Yeah, I did Zach Burke's wedding.
What?
Yeah. $40 online.
That's all.
That's all it takes. You could get
what
it done
did you
today.
get paid?
I didn't charge Zach.
He said, yes, the first one I've done. I've done some funerals, but no weddings. Been practicing all week. There may be a let's go somewhere in the vows. God, he's so full of energy and life. Joey McGuire will do Sam Tecklenburg's wedding.
That's very cool. That,
not a surprise.
He's able to do that and took the time to be able to do that, and it's cool that Sam asked him. So very, very neat.
Chet Williams is someone that reached out to me. It's been a handful of years ago because of all the Cowboys coverage out in California, and he was telling me about some of the courses that I should play when I'm out there, and one that he has redesigned that is just as immaculate as you could imagine is called Montecito. He helped set Eric Horton and I up at a golf course in Santa Barbara last summer. He's also doing some advice for Bear Ridge with Tommy Tompkins. And as beautiful a course as you can find, Whispering Pines in Trinity. And Chet Williams joins as golf course designer and historian on SicEm365 Radio. Man, how you been, Chet? Good to have you on the show.
Been doing good, David. Trying to, lay low with the COVID-19 stuff, but fortunately working outside on a golf course kind of affords you the opportunity to kind of spread out and not have to be right on top of each other. So it's worked out well.
Well, you've always been good to me when it comes to courses and giving me some advice. Let's start, if you don't mind. How much are you involved in what they're trying to do? Because it looks like they're doing a great job with what they can right now with Bear Ridge after the conditions that it got itself in. How much do you talk to Tommy, and what have you seen?
Well, I guess basically what I've done is I've given them some advice on, several things that Tommy's wanted to do out there. I'd say probably the biggest thing I've done is give him some advice on his bunkers on the golf course, or sand traps, as some people might call them, because he was going to have to totally redo those, rebuild them. So I gave him some advice on, some that he could, maybe eliminate, some that he could maybe make smaller, that would make it more economical for him to do that, because building bunkers and sand traps has become one of the most expensive things you can do on golf course work nowadays. It didn't used to be, but now it is. So I think maybe that helped Tommy to, have some other money to spend on other things that he needed to do out there as well. But I've given him some advice on some other things, and I think he's taken some of that, not all of it. But it's kind of his place, and he's going to do whatever he thinks is best. But every time I get a chance in town, it seems like every couple of weeks or so, I'll go out there and see how they're doing, and he usually has a question or two. So we make the round around the course, and we've talked about a whole bunch of different things. But it's definitely, every time I've been there since I went out the first time, it's improving. And I just know as the summer goes along, it's just going to get better and better. And it's going to be, once again, a really good asset for, golfers in the Waco area.
Why has the sand trap bunker thing been more expensive?
Well, it's nowadays, I'll try to put it in simple terms as I can. People are putting in what they call bunker liners. And what that basically is, it's a liner or a matte material that you put in on the floor of the bunker to separate the pretty white expensive sand you buy from the Central Texas clay down below. Because when there's not a separation in between the two, they end up kind of mixing, and the pretty white sand gets dirty and brown, which nobody really cares for. So what usually happens is when people know they can put in these liners that'll do that job, then they say, okay, my sand's not going to get dirty, so they're more willing to spend more money on a higher quality sand. So Tommy has actually put in the best liner, in my opinion. It's also the most expensive. So he's not cutting any corners out there.
It's starting to look like a golf course again. It's starting to where you could see possibly where the greens are going to be or the bunkers. And it's, this is not to throw anybody under the bus, but you don't just dig a hole and then throw sand in it and that's it. And that's unfortunately what happened previously. So when did you get the itch to design? How did that start with you design or renovate and redesign golf courses?
Well, believe it or not, I actually started sketching holes probably when I was about 9 or 10 years old. Back then I had no idea that, people could design golf courses for a living. I played golf every chance I could get. I played since I was probably about 5. And this is almost a little bit embarrassing to say, but it took me until probably right at the end of my sophomore year at Baylor to realize that was an opportunity for me to design golf courses. So once I realized that, if I was going to have to work for a living, that's what I wanted to do. And I've been fortunate that I've been able to do that for my whole career, and hopefully I'll be able to continue to do so.
You're doing Whispering Pines, which I've played with the late Reggie Howe a couple of different times, and it's down in Trinity, Texas. And my goodness, it's just absolutely spectacular. And you're redoing it. Why did they need to have it redone?
Well, it's not really what I'd call a redesign. It's nowadays what they call a renovation. So we're kind of giving it a little bit of a facelift. We're actually changing the grass on the greens. We're actually changing the type of grass on the golf course. It's been a Bermuda golf course in the fairways and roughs since it first opened back in '99. And now we're converting all the grass other than the greens to zoysia grass. Zoysia's become kind of like the Cadillac of grasses on golf courses, at least down, in Texas and the southern climates. So that'll be an upgrade for them. Usually on golf courses, you have to rebuild things every so often, and 20, 25 years. You usually have to go back and redo your greens. So we're doing that as well. And I think when Mr. Robertson, the owner here, when we first started doing this, I don't think he nor I have thought that it was going to turn into, kind of what it's become. And probably because of that, when we were building it, we probably, we might have cut a corner or two a little bit on some things. So, but we're going back now and fixing all that stuff as well. So it's just going to be bigger, better, and, more beautiful than ever. But I am tweaking the design a little bit. But I think the thing that most people, the members here that play, the thing they'll notice the most, I think, is going to be the new different kind of grass. I think they're going to like it better. We're also redoing the bunkers, just like Tommy did, and we're actually doing some of the same things as we did there too. We're actually, decreasing the amount of bunkers to a degree for the same reason, to try to, lower some costs.
You've also,
but it's
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
I didn't realize this. I've read up a lot about you. You and I have talked a handful of times, but you've also done like golf course design, et cetera, overseas in Asia, Colombia, Canada.
That's right.
Yeah, you've been around the world. I mean, this is not just this little, Waco, Texas. You've exploded with what you do.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, and you'll probably remember this when I say it, but most, not all, but most of the overseas golf courses that I worked on were back when I used to work for Jack Nicklaus and his golf course design business. I mean, I would work in Japan, South Korea, Thailand, and Myanmar, Panama, Costa Rica, Mexico, quite a bit. Colombia, as you mentioned, I did 2 projects with Jack's company in Colombia, and actually have a new one on my own down there right now that should start before the end of the year. So lately it's been more, regionally here, Texas, close by, but I think there's going to be some other things coming along soon in other places also.
I got to tell you, Chet Williams is our guest, golf course designer from Waco, and Whispering Pines is ranked as the #1 course in Texas. It seems like always. On occasion, Golf Digest, Dallas Morning News, or whatever. Crown Colony used to have that mantle for a while, and then, of course, Dallas National, among some others. But the one that I drove through, the one that you helped do in Santa Barbara or wherever that might be, the actual city, is Montecito. I know that there are beautiful courses, and maybe it was the time of the day. We had just played that course you set us up on in Santa Barbara. But I can't even imagine that land and that piece of land and what you did with that course, and just being able to see 2 or 3 holes from where we drove is incredible. How long did that one take?
It took, it's kind of interesting. Once we actually started, it took us about a year to do it. And then just probably a couple months after that, they were able to open it for play. The interesting thing about that project is that in California, it is very, very difficult to get work like that to even approve to do it. I visited that golf course the first time in 2002, and we did not start construction there until I think it was about 2016. and it literally took that long to get it approved to do the work, to get the permits and everything. And that was just for redoing an existing course. We just kind of redesigned it. But so you can imagine if you're trying to build a brand new course from scratch, how long that would take. But it's much easier to do things here in Texas. California, it can take quite a while.
Not a surprise you mentioned that you'd gone to Baylor, but obviously your background in landscape architecture at Texas A&M with what you're doing as well is because of what you've had, the success, and I'll let you go after this, is the success you've had, that it's like anything else. Someone hears about somebody who is really good at what they do. You get some publicity, the various trade magazines, people go play these courses, the Nicholas design and all the things you did early on. And it's almost like you have to tell people no sometimes.
Not too often, but there have been an occasion or two. I can remember back when I worked for Nicholas. That happened occasionally back then with him, because I can remember a few times when I worked for him, we had 30 golf courses under construction at one time, and you can only handle so many. But so far, I've been able to handle everything that's kind of come my way. But things will really be booming if I have to start turning away work.
Well, that's a good thing. Is there another course? Did you mention to me there's a course down in Houston that you've redone, or you are redoing, or you have recently?
No, there's a course down there, that the last brand new course that I finished. It's called Houston Oaks.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And you hosted the Big 12 championships down there.
It was the Big 12 match play championships. Okay. They've had them there the last 2 years, and I think they're going to have it there the next 3 years. As far as I know, they're still planning on having it this year. That's what Coach McGraw told me the last time I spoke to him.
Chet, we appreciate it. Not to put you on the spot, but we've had Gary Player and Lee Trevino on since we started this show April the 6th.
Nice. I've met both of those gentlemen. I'll have to one of these days I'll tell you a good Gary Player story. I've got a good one.
That sounds good, man. Congratulations on what you're doing. Thanks for being a part of the show, and good luck with what you're doing at Whispering Pines and helping with Bear Ridge, because my God, did Waco, Texas need that place redone. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Chet Williams with us on SicEm365 Radio. I'm not so sure if you understood the hint.
Well, I mean, if he worked for, the Golden Bear, I mean, it's only natural.
Gary Player and Lee Trevino are in that top 5.
Yeah. Well, and he used to work for Jack.
Yeah, I know.
And look, Jack's nickname is the Golden Bear.
Yeah.
Or SicEm365. Jack's
Bear Ridge.
Listen, Jack's grandson was a fantastic player at Florida State. There's all these things we can talk about. Every
time I mention to Derek Brooks that you're an FSU alum, he stops texting me back.
Look, I'll just tell you, I don't know if I'm allowed within 50 feet of him.
Nicholas was going to be was initially a part of what they were going to do at the Cascades. Craig, you saw what they had renovated. That used to be just an old municipal. It was a club, but it was just kind of beat up, and they went in there and renovated that. And I think Nicholas initially had a lot to do with that. And they were going to have there was a Jack Nicklaus Golf Academy out there. It's a beautiful clubhouse, is as nice as you could ever imagine, but I don't know if that ever continued or if he's still a part of it, but that was my other chance to get him, and I didn't get him, so I'm just going to text Chet here in just a second and just be blunt.
So if he can get us Jack, maybe Jack could then get us, the guy that would never come on this show in a million years.
Because he's dead, Arnold Palmer. He can't be there.
I was
I know
saying,
you guys want to interview Phil Mickelson really bad. But
I'm just saying that, Tiger, I feel like we could, even though he won the major.
Oh, my God.
I've always felt that you and I could
quit on him.
I didn't quit on him.
Yeah, you did.
I did not quit on Tiger.
You did. There was a time you were going to be his light. You did. You shut it down on him. I had to tell you one time that he was winning.
He walked 25 feet past me in the Cowboys locker room one day, and I thought, there's my shot.
That means you're my shot. Yeah.
There's my shot, and I missed it.
Speaking of golf, we'll come back and update today. Second round complete at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. That's going on. By the way, Kyle Jones, the Baylor golfer who won last week on the Corn Ferry Tour, well, he missed the cut. He shot 76 in the first round, 68 second round. He missed the cut this week. I'm sure he probably had a long 2 or 3 days after winning on Sunday. This is SicEm 3. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to ask, do you want to keep it here because it's 52?
No,
or
we have
do
to
you take a break.
take another break.
Okay, well, I'll come back with a baseball note then.
All right, Craig Smoke next with a baseball note, an update from the Rocket Mortgage Classic of the PGA Tour, SicEm 365 Radio. Do you love Friday Night Lights? Would you like to have a bigger role than just watching the action to ensure the games are played fairly and safely? The Waco football chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO, can make that happen. The 2020 Texas high school football season is right around the corner, and we need you to be a part of it. There's a shortage of officials across the state in all sports, and you can help. If you love the game and want to be a part of the solution, you can help our local student athletes continue to participate in games they love. Never officiated before? Don't worry. Waco Football Chapter can help and prepare you to make the right call. And right now, Introduction to Football Officiating class is accepting registrations. Make your first grade call today by looking us up and contacting us on Facebook at Waco Football Chapter or at our website, wacofootballchapter.com. Find out more about the Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO. Go to wacofootballchapter.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Texas board certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
This is SicEm 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Here we go, SicEm 365 Radio, the 5 o'clock hour. Are we going to have time in the 5 o'clock hour to do Jerry Levias? Is that possible?
Yeah, I could do that. I could totally do that.
I really think we ought to. We ought to, and of course, we could do Doug Williams. But I think we could do.
I like Levias.
Let's do Jerry Levias. It's such a great story about how he handled early life. Craig, okay, go ahead.
So Major League Baseball's test results are out, and based on what a few of the writers have said, it's about 1.6% or so. That was, as I was speculating earlier, about the national average. So you're seeing about the regular numbers that we would see if you were to take a pool of like people in Waco. That's what's testing positive right now in Major League Baseball. And of the pro sports that have returned, I don't have a full list of like MLS and all those groups, but of the big four, which is really the big three since the NFL's out of it right now, they have much better numbers than the NBA and the NHL so far. So, yeah, still a lot of tests to go, but as far as the percentage rate of positives, they're about in line with the national average. NBA and NHL are above the national average.
And they're all kind of trying to come out of the cocoon, so to speak, and get ready for what will be games. TJ Reed at Bleed Orange 82, thank you, sir, as always, for the snake video picture. God, he changed his profile picture.
I used to do that every day, but now, thanks to the internet, thanks to people on Twitter,
yeah, somebody yesterday
has
sent me a video of flying snakes. Flying snakes.
It's a nightmare that we don't need, but wouldn't be surprised to see the debut of flying snakes in 2020 at this point.
This looks like it's a culvert. Is a culvert like something that's sunk into the ground? I don't know what it looks like. You know what? It's out somewhere on a farm or ranch, and you can see it's a tub. It's a big tub and a big, fat, juicy rattlesnake.
Don't worry about that live. I just told you. Okay.
Big, fat, juicy rattlesnake. So there was an interesting story today. 5-star college basketball recruit. I want to get his name correct. Deontay. Makur Maker. This was very intriguing. He's a 5-star senior. He committed to Howard.
Yes, an HBCU.
HBCU. He had UCLA, Kentucky, Memphis, and Howard in his final four. In his four that he came down to, he visited Howard. And he decided to do that. He also reached out to some other guys that are some of the elite names in college basketball, high school basketball right now. So the HBCUs, we've heard some of that because of what's been going on. Hey, look at that as an option. He's like one of the best players in the country. That's a very. I
got to tell you, I'd love to see that. I would love to see the HBCUs
last year
get some top level talent.
Well, he actually is. He's also ranked in the top 75 for the NBA draft. So that'll be an interesting decision. But just making that decision, to me, one, gives the HBCUs some attention. We've tried to do that with interviews that we've had with a lot of players the last month or so. And he's the first. Let's see here. 5-star prospect commit to an HBCU since ESPN began their recruiting database back in 2007. And if he was to be selected in the NBA draft, he'd be the first HBCU, historically black college and university product, since Kyle O'Quinn from Norfolk State back in 2012.
I think it's cool. I think it's going to be hard to sway the majority of guys, though. When you right now, I think it's probably going to have as much momentum as it's ever going to have. If there's ever going to be a strong movement of more guys deciding to go to HBCUs and support that community, because, in basketball in particular, it's 1 year basically for a guy like him. And so I think it's great. If you're only going to play 1 year ball rather than the same old Duke and North Carolina or whatever, yeah, go making an impact somewhere else and at a place that could certainly use your talents and could certainly use the exposure. I don't know if it's something that is going to catch fire. I know there's a lot of people that are hoping that it does. But I think it's also going to be tough because a lot of these guys grew up wanting to play for Coach K at Duke and wanting to, play for North Carolina. So there'll be some tough decisions to make. He's also somebody who's led a very interesting life. He was originally born in Kenya. When he was like a year old, he moved to Perth, Australia. Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. And he lived in Australia growing up until he got to high school and came to America. And has been playing high school ball the last few years here in the States. So interesting journey, and congrats to him.
What's interesting as well is Howard last year was 4-29.
Oh, jeez. Does Howard have bagmen? Did they suddenly discover that? Because, man, that's an even bigger leap of faith, or I don't know if it's a leap of faith, but that's an even bigger leap to go to a program that's not that successful right now. Well, that's great.
And look, he's choosing. One of the things is for him, the basketball is going to work itself out.
Sure,
I mean,
he can go anywhere he wants to.
He can go anywhere. It's going to be fine. The basketball will work itself out. He is picking a university that he wants to be a part of.
Right.
And that's an awesome thing. I think that's great. And again, I really hope we see more of this, because I hope that it'll bring up. I hope that we get to a point where HBCUs don't have to take guarantee games to make their athletic budget.
Yeah.
I watched a great thing on Real Sports, and it was the team that they were talking about was because it was the former coach, Coach Joe, was at Florida A&M, and he said that he thinks that they need to stop doing guarantee games because, he'll take his team down to play Miami or up to play Georgia or something, and then he's got 20 guys that get injured, and the whole rest of the season he's playing with a down roster because he had to make $1 million.
Right.
So he felt like, I'm throwing these guys to the wolves. Well, hopefully we can get to a point where we don't have to do that.
Yeah, and I think that, maybe this in turn, if you get enough guys who have some star power, that maybe ESPN airs some more games. I mean, that's got to be your hope ultimately, because that's where the money's really going to come in, is TV money. It's not going to come from the fan base suddenly growing exponentially. It is what it is, and their donations are what they are. So, barring hitting the lottery, the only way to really hit the lottery is to get on TV, get those TV deals. And, if you have enough star players who people want to watch, then, yeah, maybe we'll see Howard versus Duke on, a preseason game or something along those lines on ESPN.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And I heard, like, Tim Crowder, who played at John Tyler, he's at University of Texas. He was an All-American, I think, at UT, and was on their national championship team. He signed a cap for me, just brought it back after they'd won the Rose Bowl. Yeah, he's been very outspoken. When UT had players who said they were not going to get involved, and he said, hey, everybody, enter the transfer portal and go to HBCUs. Now, and Tim's been very outspoken about a lot of things. You mentioned about Overshawn yesterday, but he said that. And I was like, huh.
That's great that he said that.
But you got to, one player's not going to change the whole wave.
Well, it's great that he said that. But he didn't do it himself.
Yeah, and he went to Texas.
Right. So what I'm saying is that that's great, Tim, that you feel that way. But eventually, Tim Crowder is going to have to say, who's very highly rated, say, no, I'm going to go to Grambling State and play quarterback. I mean, that's what they're going to need. It's not going to be a guy after the fact, after getting a UT degree and playing in the NFL going, I wish I would have done that. Okay, that doesn't change anything. So who's going to be the 5-star whoever that is going to, at some position, make the decision, I'm going to turn down Florida State and Oklahoma and Nebraska, and I'm going to go to Grambling or to Howard or to any of the other HBCUs. I mean, that will be the real shift, not a lot of talk about it.
When we come back, the 5 o'clock hour, a couple of other notes we'll update and a few other stories.
And I should say that we're talking about an example of it in basketball, but I'm speaking in football as far as HBCUs.
Like, for example,
like Caleb Williams, who's the number 1 quarterback recruit in the country right now. I know it would be hard for him to turn down every school in the country, LSU, OU, Ohio State, to say, you know what, I'm going to go to Howard. That'd be really but it's going to take something close to that or along those lines, in my opinion. Not a 5-star, but just somebody that could go somewhere else that decides, you know what, no, I'm going to start a movement and do it in football, and we're going to go to HBCUs.
It would be neat if that happened. If it happens, and I don't know if it's ever going to be a wave or not, but because that's where Walter Payton and Doug Williams and Gene Upshaw and Darryl Green and many others. I don't know A&I. I don't know if Texas A&I.
Were they not?
Huh?
Were they not?
I don't know if they were or not, but that Texas A&I, Gene Upshaw, Darryl Green. Well, we're looking at Jackson State, Jerry Rice at Mississippi Valley State. Obviously, many others that we've talked to on the show really in the last couple of months. All right, when we come back, Jerry Levias, we won't have that next, but there's a couple of stories we need to get to. I mentioned the PGA Tour update they're playing, but I thought the interesting part about Maker is that Howard was 4-29. A guy like that's that good. Then
he is,
and you know the reactions, right? Huh?
He's going on principle.
And the reactions were good luck being seen by anybody on a 4-29 team. They won't be 4-29 with him on the team.
No.
This is SicEm365 Radio.
Are you in the market for a new home, or are you trying to sell your current home? Call my buddy Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty, 254-214-3713, or visit them online, lancedonaldson.exprealty.com. Lance is a fantastic listener. He's going to hear everything you have to say, and he's going to find you a great place. Plus, he'll get you a deal on the house that you're going to just love that you're trying to sell. Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. Again, give him a call, 254-214-3713, or online, lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
Summertime means vacation time. And while this summer may be different, at Allen Samuels, you can always count on our huge summer clearance event. It's on. We're moving out all remaining new 2020s. Every Dodge and Chrysler car and SUV. Every Ram truck, and we haven't left out Jeep. They've got to go too. Deep discounts, special factory offers, and financing. It's time to say goodbye. Adios, 2020s. Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. Drive forward.
Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodway. PettyClinicLowT.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day, payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
We're fighting hard at Pickup Outfitters in our battle to end truck nudity. But it's not just about putting an outfit on a naked truck, it's about making sure you have the very best customer service. So we offer the Pickup Outfitters Lifetime Installation Guarantee. Over time, sometimes your outfit needs a little tune-up, maybe some tightening, adjusting, whatever. If you outfitted your truck at Pickup Outfitters, that tune-up is absolutely no charge for the remainder of the time you own that truck. We also offer free warranty assistance. If for any reason you need to use your warranty, you just bring it back to us and we take care of it. It just makes sense. I mean, operating without a promise like that would be like offering customer service in the nude. And if you've seen our staff, trust me, you don't want that. So do your part to end truck nudity by outfitting your truck, Jeep, SUV, or van at Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco, where we promise to serve you fully clothed. Check out our website, createacommotion.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio.
On first down, Brewer, play fake, got time, delivers, catch made, Platt, Chris Platt, sprint for the end zone, touchdown Baylor. They sure did take their shot, 50 yards.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Brad Wilson. Investing is time and experience back to you and your money during today's changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
By the way, somebody asked me what are the 4 or top 5, whatever, golf courses in America based on America's top 100 greatest courses, Golf Digest. Pine Valley is turned down hosting majors up in New Jersey. That's it. Number 2, Augusta. 3, Cypress Point, where they also, of course, Pebble Beach, and then Shinnecock Hills. I think they host the U.S. Open this year in New York. Whispering Pines in the country is the 54th rated golf course in the country, and it's in Trinity, Texas, down near Huntsville. All right, the PGA Tour update and a couple of the notes. Leader, Chris Kirk, Webb Simpson. Both of them went really low today, 12 under par. Seamus Power, Matthew Wolff, Brian DeChambeau continues to play great, 11 under par, along with Mark Hubbard, Ryan Armour, and Richie Warinsky.
Is there 2 DeChambeaus? Brian and Bryson?
What did I say?
You said Brian.
Brian, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I really didn't know.
Bryson,
for all I knew, he had a brother.
Yeah. Bryson.
Oh, I'm glad there's not 2 of them. Oh,
Okay.
man.
Imagine all the stories about getting big that would be written if there was 2 DeChambeaus.
Yeah, so that's going on. Jimmy Walker missed the cut earlier. I mentioned Kyle Jones, who won on the Corn Ferry Tour earlier last weekend. He missed the cut after winning this past weekend. So Colt Barber did something interesting. This is in the premium section. Side-by-side career stats, Baylor's Charlie Brewer and Robert Griffin III. 28 games that Griffin played his first 3 years. Brewer's played in 35. They both are averaging, I guess, 1.5 touchdowns per game. Griffin's interception ratio was .39. Brewer's at .57.
Well, Griffin had that whole year where it was the Heisman year where he didn't throw an interception until like the 7th or 8th game.
Both right at 64% completion percentage. Brewer a little bit more, 5 yards per game, 221 yards per game. And it was just kind of comparing them. And then, you kind of forget where Charlie and the numbers he's put up.
Yeah.
Not comparing him if he's better than RG3 or not, but that he's put up these numbers. He's compiled a bunch of good numbers.
Well, he's played a lot. Yeah. He's played 3 years now. So
35 games.
So anybody's going to have some numbers of some sort. Look, I think Charlie's a good quarterback. I don't think he's the end-all, be-all, or, RG3 level, obviously. Be unfair to compare, anybody and everybody to just the greatest player in school history, arguably. But, no, he's had a good career. I don't think he gets nearly enough attention. I think the attention that he does get, it's always like, oh, well, he's too injury prone, or, he can't make it, through every game, or something. It's always something more negative than it is anything else. And even a great pass, oh, well, he can't throw the deep ball. Or, there's always just something. I feel like with Charlie, there's some sort of criticism that never allows everybody to just kind of appreciate him and really what he's done over the last 3 years, given the circumstances, even more so. It's one thing to compare a freshman as a true freshman and their numbers in Power 5 football, to others, but look at the situation as well. Being thrust in there after Anu Solomon's brain was basically jelly, and having to play with a team that wasn't good. They were bad. They were 1-11 bad. Now, I think they were better than 1-11, but they were 1-11 bad as well. So, I'm not surprised Charlie's numbers are up there, but I just don't know that he's ever going to be a guy that people fully appreciate because they're too focused on maybe what he can't do or what he can't provide versus all of the things that he does provide. Hopefully that makes sense.
I think it makes a lot of sense. I still think there are some that, he's not flashy enough. All I know is that,
he wins.
When he didn't finish the comeback in the game at home against Oklahoma, when he throws the pick and the game is over, the balloon popped inside the stadium, and it was like, wait a minute, Charlie Brewer just threw a pick to end the game. Because you just knew that's what he's done all his life, is find a way to win games.
And that was so regrettable, too, because it was basically identical to the previous play.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened there, but you could tell as soon as he threw it, he knew, he was devastated. Because my eyes immediately went down to the field to where he was, and he was torn up, as you can imagine. Because someone like him especially, he takes losing very, very hard, like a lot of guys do. But I think he takes it almost to another level, and I think when he's the one that's making the mistake that quote-unquote loses them the game, although they wouldn't be in it without him, that he takes it that much more personal. So yeah, that every quarterback you throw enough balls, you're going to have a moment like that, one that you want back. And at the same time, there's a lot of games they wouldn't have won last year, or a position that they wouldn't even have been in had it not been for Charlie Brewer. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he fits when all is said and done.
So I had Joey McGuire. Did I already do this?
Yes.
Okay, that's where
He's
I
going
am.
to officiate Sam Tecklenburg's wedding this weekend.
Gosh, Smokey.
Could be the onset. Could be the onset.
Well, Deontay, we got to season you up a bit more, man.
Deontay, are you ready to come in and Wally Pip me?
Look, I'm ready. I'm subbing in. I'm ready to step in for you whenever you need me.
We don't have time really to ask him. Can I ask Deontay a quick question?
Sure.
Do we have time to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, we were having that HBU discussion. I was curious from your point of view, do you think like a movement of, let's say a handful of players or something doing that could lead to enough people following suit?
Yeah, for sure. Even before Maker, I think Mikey Williams, who isn't he's a 2023 in the 2023 class. He had talked about it. He's like one of those kids that's like been all over with the highlight reels, and he's a highly touted recruit. But he's been talking about it for a while with everything going on. But for Maker to make that decision, it's like, okay, there's one domino. I think, like y'all mentioned about as far as football goes, but they just need that one domino to fall. And now that it has, I do expect more. Of course, not every single top recruit is going to go to an HBCU, but I think we'll see a lot of more coming up.
I think it would be great. And I love the days of when I was growing up and the schools like Grambling and Jackson State and others were really, really good. Speaking of which, another story that's kind of connected, not to that, but the Washington Redskins have been under fire before. This seems to be more so than ever, that when they get your claws, and I say those who want you to change something, whether they want to take down because it needs to be down, a monument or a name or a person who works, it looks like this is going to eventually happen. The Harlem Globetrotters own the trademark name of the Washington Generals and said they would entertain offers from Daniel Snyder and the NFL.
I want to be the Washington Generals.
No. Well, they are.
Well, yeah.
They are the Washington
I immediately
Generals.
thought of the Sentinels from what movie is that?
Keanu Reeves.
Replacements.
Yeah. Senitals.
Yeah, Sentinel was pretty cool.
Someone brought up the Washington Monuments.
Yeah. No, actually, the one name I like the most is the Washington Red Tails, which would name them after the Tuskegee Airmen. And then they could kind of swing around in the other direction. The writing's been on the wall for this for a long time. But I mean, as far as like the pressure on this, what the difference is that FedEx, their biggest sponsor, has told them they have to change it. FedEx all of a sudden started caring after 22 years of being a sponsor. FedEx finally cares. And look, I'm the one who says you got to walk at your own pace, but let's not pretend like FedEx is, all of a sudden like
go look at their history of hiring and all that.
It's money talks, and that's what it is. And it's also, I don't want to call anybody making a decision like that doing it because it's the popular thing, but I think there are some businesses that are following other suit and just like, this is a trendy thing to do now, is to come out with this type of a statement and do this type of an action. But I think, FedEx obviously feels like they really can't answer for why it's not changed or why they shouldn't be applying pressure given the circumstances, given the name, given the history, given how long this argument's been going on for 30 years. 30 years they've been talking about changing the Redskins' name. So this is hardly new. It's just that there's a new type of pressure being applied that could actually force them to change it.
My concern is this, though.
Yeah.
And by the way, Dan Snyder will make a bunch of money off of this.
Well,
because
he owns
now
the trademark to the Washington Warriors anyway.
But he'll have now new jerseys, and and people love new things. Here's my concern for all of us to discuss. I know we'll have Jerry Levias. We'll run that to kind of close out this Friday. Are we now in a mode where we're picking one thing and destroying it or taking it down or eliminating it or acting as if it never happened by evaporating it? And then as soon as that's done, we go on to the next thing?
Well, I mean, as long as you don't pick a racially insensitive name for your next mascot, I don't think you got to worry about it.
Because what's next?
I mean, the name's the Redskins.
Yeah,
it's pretty obvious.
We've had this debate before. There have been some that are Native American Indians that have been proud of it. Because, of course, that's back when they were winning. It would help as well. And there are some. Dan Ingham one time texted me and said, I have a friend of mine who's a Native American Indian. He hates the name. But I know the Seminoles. I understand there's a history. I understand. But the Chiefs, the Braves.
My alma mater, saving grace, is that the actual tribe is in the deal.
There are some Native American Indian tribes or others or leaders that really don't want the name to change.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the Redskins. Again, it's the Redskins.
Yeah,
we're not talking about a tribe like
not
the Seminole tribe that is okay. Yeah, absolutely, you can use our name. I mean, it's not a word that I look at and I immediately go, "Oh, that's racist." But I also know from my point of view that I'm not as apt as others to do that because I'm a white guy and I don't think that way necessarily. But I don't think that because this changes that all of a sudden a bunch of other names are going to come down. I mean, we saw this a few years ago with a bunch of colleges changed Native American names. A bunch of them did.
I know they did.
So,
like the Redmond. Was it the what was
There's
it?
a bunch. Miami, Ohio, the Red Hawks.
Yeah. Rutgers weren't they the Redmond?
Yeah,
they were.
At one point,
now, yeah. My brother went to McMurray University, and they were the Indians back then. Now they're the Red Hawks, I believe.
And there is, and I'll tell you what, that hot debate in Tyler, which we've discussed before, but now all of a sudden, okay, we'll look at this Lee thing, but we're not going to just ignore John Tyler, and we've discussed it. We don't need to go there again, but that's kind of one of those things. If you want to start looking at things, be careful because the boomerang effect.
I'll tell you too, and I caught the Tyler TV station doing this. Earl Campbell came out on the record to talk about the names, but if you only read the headline, you'd think he was only speaking about Lee. But he was actually talking about both, John Tyler and Lee, and said he's in favor of if Lee changes, JT changes as well. Because Earl's at least enough up on history and doesn't have an axe to grind that he's looking at it the right way of it doesn't make sense to take down one and not the other. So he's supporting the change of both.
Well, I saw today Georgia is now going to have to look at Stone Mountain.
Oh, really? That's the home of Jake Roberts.
That's going to be a really hard thing to get rid of, but it's a monument to Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, and Jefferson Davis. So,
see, I wouldn't even have known that.
I remember when I was a kid, we stayed at a hotel across from it. They had a laser light show on the face of it. I've been up it, and I remember when I was younger, even like thinking, okay, well, I guess it's just a historical monument. It didn't occur to me that this is a historical monument to the South. But again, that was that era, and but they'll have to they'll have to change that thing completely. So. There's a lot of things that are coming down the way.
Yeah.
I just think we're going to you're just like you're just going to pick off cans on top of a post.
Well, a lot of it needs to be changed. It just people need to be. But I think it needs to be.
Is it going to be a cleansing?
It needs to be observed on a case by case basis. I don't think you need to just say everything. I think you need to
just because. And I understand the racial part of it. I get it. I understand it. And if it needs to be changed, that's fine. But it doesn't mean that we completely wipe out history of this country.
No, I actually think the next step of this is the way that we taught
we need
history.
to learn from the history of this country.
The way we've taught history, starting in grade school all the way up, is incomplete. We need to expand it, deepen it, make it more. Make it more.
We need our kids to actually learn.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not learning Jack S. They don't know anything about history. They don't know anything about. They hardly teach Texas history. We've absolutely failed in the school system. That's not going to change because they're not going to pay teachers more money, and that whole thing's a complete joke. So yeah, I mean, our schools have failed as far as the teaching of history. I mean, I understand where you're coming from. Like, there's some fear that everything's going to be wiped out, but again, it's a case by case thing, and I don't think that just because a Robert E. Lee statue comes down that we can't still learn about Robert E. Lee. So he didn't have a statue. He doesn't have to have a statue for us to know his history.
I'm saying as soon as the Redskins change, and most likely they will, then who's next?
Anybody with an offensive name.
Why aren't they being? Why is that not be done now? Why aren't they all doing it one time?
Look, the Cleveland Indians will be next.
I'm not into that.
So, but
I'm not going out looking for things that are offensive.
I know. I'm saying give an example of who else would be up there.
I would think the Cleveland Indians would be.
Yeah.
I think they are. I think they've already moved away from Chief Wahoo.
What the mascot looks like. Yeah. That's my point. You want to change things. It doesn't affect me. The Redskins are they have an incredible history. If they want to be called, if they're going to be forced to be called somebody else, or they want to be called something else, that's fine. Daniel Snyder will make millions off of this, by the way.
Yeah.
And he's fought this for a long, long time. But then it's next. If they're now in the spotlight, why there's probably whoever's the next team? Why aren't they in the spotlight now?
Because things take time.
It's just not their turn. Everybody gets their turn. I mean, it's just not their turn. It's
like what happened in Tyler. They want to go and eliminate Robert E. Lee, and then all of a sudden, a lot of those who don't want Lee on the high school name are going to John Tyler.
Well, yeah.
You got to be. It just can't be because, it can't be because.
Those are tied together, but Cleveland and Washington aren't. So again, everybody is going to get their turn.
Jerry Levias, what a story he has to tell. He's next on SicEm365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. I got a text a minute ago from AJ. We were interviewing Joe Green. He was at a game. He saw Joe Green on the sideline. He had a picture with him. AJ's a great sales rep at Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Ted Teague runs it. Kevin Six, among many others. Huge selection right now. Multiple locations and partnerships all over the United States that Alan Samuels can look at, contact, and be in touch with for a car that you want, if in fact they don't have it. If you're a business or business owner, farmer, ranch, Alan Samuels will find exactly what you need because they have all these locations to find whether it's a pickup truck or a business vehicle or what you need to maybe have something that's larger than just your regular car. By the way, right now the summer clearance event continues. A brand new car, truck, or SUV, a perfect thing for a family vacation. To know when you get on the road it's going to be safe and you'll be just fine. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday. Pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasonings, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace, doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com. Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is SicEm 365 Radio. The SicEm 365 Radio poll is brought to you by Pickup Outfitters, where everything purchased and installed comes with our famous lifetime installation guarantee and free warranty assistance. 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
Jerry Levias played at Beaumont Hebert High School, and it was one of the really, really good school. I remember it quite a bit when I was growing up, and then that's no longer in existence as Beaumont has had some consolidation of schools, just like in Port Arthur and elsewhere. He then went to SMU. He was the second black African-American football player in the Southwest Conference, the first to receive a scholarship. John Westbrook of Baylor was the first. Here's our conversation with the great Jerry Levias.
Radio.
Eddie Murray looking for hit number 3,000. To the right side, and there it is! Eddie Murray is the 20th man to get 3,000 hits in the Major League.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozers Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
John Westbrook, who played at Baylor, was an African-American football player. He was the first to play football, but Jerry Levias was the first African-American to get a scholarship and also be a part of the Southwest Conference. That was back in the 60s. I've spoken with Jerry a couple of different times. We know all about his high school career at former Beaumont Hebert and SMU, his time with the Oilers and Chargers in the NFL, and thrilled to have Jerry Levias on the show today on SicEm 365 Radio. Jerry, I've thought about how to start all this. One, first of all, thank you very much for being a part of the show. When you have seen what we've seen the last 3 or 4 months, and based on what you dealt with 50, 60 years ago, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts on this, I think it's about time that people recognize and deal with racism. What I don't agree with is the violence, but otherwise, if they want to do something important to condemn and stop racism, it goes to education and knowing your rights and go to the polls and vote.
When your personal experience, when you got to the team, before you had to worry about all of the people who were going to be watching you play and at the games, you had to deal with your teammates. What was that experience like, and how difficult was it, and how long did it take for everyone to kind of come around to kind of seeing things from your perspective?
Well, it was kind of difficult from the first time that I set field on SMU on the practice field. But before then, I had a pretty good relationship because I played in the Big 33 game, Pennsylvania versus Texas, and met some nice guys. And it was the first year that they had let black athletes play in that game. And I played in the Oil Bowl in Wichita Falls. And so, but then when I got to SMU, it was basically a different story. A lot of guys didn't want me on the team. I had no roommate. And then I took a beating in practice as a freshman. We could not play. as freshmen on varsity. But it took a lot of beating from young guys from the defense, and as John did also, John Westbrook did there at Baylor as a walk-on. So it was very difficult. So you had to keep your composure. And John and I had one thing in common, that we were very religious and we believe in God.
Well, Jerry, I was going to ask you, what your support system was like, and obviously your relationship with God was right there at the forefront. But outside of that, and that's a big one. But what was your support system like, if any, during that time period? How did you vent, and who were you able to have as a sounding board, if you will?
Well, basically, I didn't have a sounding board because Coach Fry was basically dealing with the varsity, and he didn't coddle me or show me any special preference. But I had a coach named Sleepy Martin, and he was a good coach and kind of like a father figure. And he would talk to me about stuff, but otherwise they did not interfere with any of the stuff because I did not complain about any of the treatment that I was given. Because basically, being very religious, and I have to go back to the Bible when it says Proverbs 2 verses 10 and 11 says, knowledge and wisdom is pleasure to the heart and soul, and discretion will preserve thee, but understanding will keep thee. So I understood basically that those guys was racist and they didn't want me there. So I basically tried to let my performance do my speaking for me without complaining about any name calling or any nasty hits.
Once you started playing well, which you were a dynamite in high school at Abear, and as you mentioned, you played in the Oil Bowl, and everyone knows the history of Jerry Levias, the kind of player you were. Was it once you started playing well that things changed, or did that matter?
Well, it didn't matter. It was the same with the students on class, but I was only good for Saturdays. So, basically when it came to Saturdays, we were all one team and that type of stuff. But afterwards, it was over with. Sometimes I would be the only one going back on the bus, going back to the campus from the football game. But, it was just the idea I was only good for Saturdays, and I had no college life. So the life I had in Dallas was outside of college. So, and the people that I hung around with, tried to find some good people to hang around with. But, the good Lord took care of me, and I met a bunch of people who wanted me to succeed, and, met people who understood and that we were all God children. And I had a great relationship with a family called the Flashnicks, Bert and Elsie Flashnick, a Jewish couple that was very nice. And they said, well, you're going to be our godson. So they adopted me, and that was kind of my support system. Plus, Coach Fry, every once in a while would check on me when I was a freshman.
When Jackie Robinson broke into the major leagues, one of the things that Branch Rickey told him was that the reason he picked him was that he knew that he could take what was coming to him. Did anybody have a talk with you about that? Like they knew that you had the inner strength to deal with what was going to be inevitably coming to you?
No one, except for my grandmother. When she would always offer a prayer, and I always call her. I had a very religious family, and that was I would call my mom and my dad, and I talk to my grandmother, and she would always tell me that, bless them, for they know not what they do. And I would tell my grandmother, I said, white boy's trying to kill me, Grandma. So she said, well, bless them, son.
Wow.
Just stay within the Lord.
Did you ever have a moment, it's like when someone may go through something themselves, whether it's an addiction or depression or maybe trying to do something they've never done before, there comes a time where you've got to make a decision, but there's also doubt. Did you ever think about just walking away?
Yes, I did. My freshman year, the first semester of my freshman year. And it was kind of tough because after every game, we had 5 freshman games. After every game at home or, practice, I ended up in the student center hospital or something. I had broken ribs or wedge vertebra or something like that. So the first semester was tough. No social life, no roommate, no nothing. So it was kind of tough. It was difficult. So I thought about quitting and leaving. And there was a janitor at the school named Leon, and he was a cab driver also. And, he would take me around and show me stuff. But then when I got ready to leave, he was going to take me to the airport. And then I called my sister, who was in California. And I told her that I was quitting. I was coming out to California because my cousin, Mel Farr, was at UCLA. And my sister told me, say, you know what Dad said. And I said, what they said, you make your bed, you sleep in it. You gave that man your word that you would stay there, so you stay there. And with that, not wanting to, being the only son and the baby, I didn't want to disappoint my dad. So I stayed. I stayed that second semester.
I mentioned John Westbrook at Baylor. Did you? It's not like then you had rotary phones. That was it. There was no other communication. Either you saw someone in person, you wrote a letter or received one, or you picked up the phone if you had the number. Did you ever talk with him?
Yes, I had a talk. I had a friend from Beaumont Bear that went to school at Baylor. And she was there, so I drove up to Waco and had a chance to meet John, and we talked a bit. And, and John was a very religious guy. John could recite the Bible back and forth because, he was a minister and everything. And, I wasn't the best of a Christian, and I had to limit some of my conversation with him. But we talked, and the good thing, we talked about the Bible. We talked about verses and, because my grandmother basically wanted me to wear the number 23 from Psalms 23. She wanted me to be like David. Mm-hmm. And we talked, and, if you know Psalms 23, that's basically my life and how I lived.
Jerry Levi is with us on SicEm365 Radio. Obviously, today's America, this would be an interview with you that we would bring up a lot of this anyway, but today's America where we've seen the last 2 to 3, 4 months. How many people, Jerry, who maybe were mean, ugly, and sometimes disgusting to you ever came up to you later on, maybe a year or even 5 or 10 years later, hugged you and said they're sorry?
One.
Wow.
And his name was Tommy Frazier. We played ball with him. He was from Port Arthur, and he, when I was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, and he came up, we had a conversation, and just out of the blue, he said that if I ever said anything or did anything to insult you and everything, he said, I'm sorry. And then that's basically it. One, because like the rest of them that I know exactly, I know that you know that I know what you was like. So, but I don't, hold grudges or something like that. Hope they had matured or they found, what I always said, your mind, your body, and the soul. So I hope they found something in their souls that, but with the experience dealing with me, it made them better people.
Mm-hmm. No question about it. You were dynamic with the football and could play a lot of different positions, obviously. What would you do today in this game that we see that is so wide open?
I would be unreal because because I could do a lot, and I had good footwork, and I was a thinker. And I think that's why I did so well in college and I did so well in the pros, is that I was a thinker. I was watching the people. I was reading their motions and tendencies and things like that because I had to do what I had to do to protect myself because I was one of the smallest people. So I kind of prevaricated a little bit about my height and my weight and everything. So, but it was if I was playing today with the wide open, the passing game and things like that, and the slots, and like with I had a good friend June Jones.
Oh yeah.
And and with the stuff that they do right now, and with my quickness and my athletic ability, I would think I would be unstoppable, and I would be one of the probably best receivers in the game.
No doubt about it.
I would think that just even that conversation with June Jones had him having some pretty cool daydreams about you and that offense.
Oh, yeah, it would be because it's just like with Hayden. Hayden came up with different plays to use me when I was a southpaw, because basically he was trying to protect me because I was playing against the other team and the referees sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And he would, whenever things would get tough, and he knew, he would call certain plays. And we had one play, he named it, called Levi Get Open. So, and, I look back at that season, I touched the ball only 66 times, and it included punts, kickoff, and passes and running, and scored 8 to 10 touchdowns. So if I would have touched the ball more, it would have been unbelievable. But Hayden did what he could do to protect me from a lot of stuff. We talked a lot about the game, but I was, I think, a little ahead of it because I like to play the game of chess, and the game of football, the game of life is like a game of chess with me.
Yeah, and of course you lost the coach earlier this year. I saw some comments you made about him. This is kind of interesting. I'm looking at, and Jerry Levias, our guest on SicEm365 Radio. So you played at Beaumont Hebert High School. They won a state title in '76 a few years after you graduated. It was a fantastic school. They were fantastic football. And you also played with the Oilers. And then you played with the Chargers. Beaumont Hebert's no longer in existence. Neither are the Oilers, and the Chargers are now in L.A. Have you thought about that?
My wife makes me think about it all the time.
Oh.
She says, you must be every place you've gone, they've wiped out.
Oh, I didn't mean to say that, but that just kind of jumped out at me. I'm like, golly, that's unfortunate. But
yeah, it's unfortunate. But the whole thing about it is time moves on, and you make the adjustment, and people have made the adjustments in the game, and the game itself has changed to where I did good, but I wish it was I could play with some of these offenses that they use today.
Man, no question.
And that's and Hayden did. He was ahead of his time in doing a lot of stuff because he was very successful. And knowing, he graduated from Baylor, and Hayden major was in psychology. So,
So you were inducted in we're in Waco, inducted into the Texas the Texas Sports Hall of Fame in 1995, the College Football Hall of Fame in 2003. But I thought this was one of the coolest things ever. In 1971, you and 16 other pro football players were given the keys to the city of Beaumont. What was that like?
Fantastic. I played with a lot of the guys, and I was a water boy. But then when you talk about all the guys like Warren Wells and all those guys, and Bob Pollard, Jerry Ball, Miller and Mel Farr, Dwight. I can't think of his name right now, but Dwight Lee, and just unbelievable. And that's just counting Beaumont. That's not counting the Golden Triangle.
Oh, I know. Man, that 409, that's the 409, right? Isn't that the proud 409? Yeah.
The proud 409, yes. So, but we had, fantastic guys, and I grew up with those guys because a lot of the guys that were ahead of me, I used to polish their shoes and bring them water because I was a water boy. And the only reason I played football was because Miller and Mel were my cousins. They were older, and in order for them to go to the playground, and they'd had to babysit me, so I had to learn to play football. So, and the other thing about my sister, she wanted me to get out of the house too. So,
Jerry, and just looking at some of the experiences that you've had, I mean, it's not often that I think people nowadays get the opportunity to talk to somebody who had an actual meeting with Dr. King and a conversation with him. You had that opportunity back when you were at SMU back in the 60s. What do you recall from just meeting him and that experience and just, that whole I guess experience is the word for those of us, who obviously would not be able to have that opportunity or are too young to really, have been impacted as much as those back then. Just what was that experience like for you?
It was amazing because as I said, I was going through the things at SMU and then Willis Tate, the president of SMU at that time, and he called me and wanted me to meet him at one of the side doors, and he wanted me to meet Dr. King. Didn't want it to make it public because they didn't want to take away from the idea that I was at SMU because of Dr. King. And so we had a chance to, I guess, meet and talk for about 10 minutes, and he asked about he said, I heard you're a Christian young man and, the Bible and talking about it. And as we got through talking and we're talking about Psalms 23 and things like that, he says, there's one thing I want to tell you. Always keep your emotions in control. Things going to happen to you. So always keep your emotions in control. And that's one of the things that took me through because I didn't want to disappoint him with that. And that was the best advice that I had because when I was sped on, called names or excluded from anything, your emotions can get you carried away. So I kept my emotions in control, and I think I overdid it because, that's one thing that going through life, you have to learn to control your emotions, so that was one of the best pieces of advice. And meeting him was I was off, but I've always remembered what he told me.
Yeah, and that was kind of how we started. And I know you got to go. When we met, this has been an amazing segment, and I knew it would be. But it's kind of how you started. You understand and how we need to make sure we learn, listen, whatever from what's going on. But you are concerned about maybe how some people are trying to get the message out.
Yeah, I'm concerned because I don't want the message to get lost. The message is stop racism, and you want equality, you want education, you want to be treated fairly. But then there are some people who are just taken away from what this is really all about. This is all about equality. And, being treated is right. But at the same time, if you want to be treated right, you got to vote and you got to behave yourself and be very intelligent with your actions and what you decide to do with your life.
Jerry, thank you very much for who you are, what you represent. Thank you for getting back with me. It's been a pleasure. We appreciate your time and hope to one day get you on and we can talk about some of the more football things that are going on if we have a season. We appreciate you so much.
Well, I appreciate you guys talking to me, not just as a football player, but a person who happened to just play football.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's Jerry Levias, the great Jerry Levias from Beaumont-Hebert High School, and then also at SMU and played with the Oilers and then with the Chargers.
There you go. Yeah.
Wow, what a way to end that incredible interview.
God, that was great.
Always like
I don't know exactly, but they seem sorry about that. We
think about that existence.
I lost my chair
college.
and I went to go sit down and kneel, and my legs are killing me today. All right, that was great. Sorry to end that interview the way we did. All right, Deontay, what was your week like this week?
Pretty good. Since I worked a little bit from home for the show, had some things to take care of as well. Trying to duel it a little bit, but happy to help out.
We did have a minor. I'll just say we had a minor. My sister came in contact with somebody who tested positive for COVID-19, and my nephews were here, and then you guys were all here on Monday, so I told our intern that maybe they need to steer clear, and so they did, but my sister's all good. She's in the clear.
It's Craig's first time you and I heard that, right?
Heard what?
That his sister...
No, it's not. I called you right after it happened.
No, yeah, we were aware. I'm glad it didn't turn into anything else, and... Glad that everybody is okay as far as the immediate circle around us. But, that was a little bit of I wouldn't call it a scare. Probably for Paul it was. But for us, it's just, hey, the reality of kind of where we are and what's going on right now. So, it's not something that's avoidable, really. Just got to be smart and do what we can.
All right, Deontay, I'm going to give the names of our great sponsors here in a minute. You want to do the guests today for us? Count them down.
Todd Callis, Sam Tecklenburg, Grayson Grunhafer, Mean Joe Green, Mr. Mean Joe Green, and Chet Williams.
Out of everybody we've had today, all the tweets we've had this week, the one that's about to get the most likes and retweets is Joey McGuire officiating Sam Tecklenburg's wedding. How much you want to bet?
Yeah,
probably, yeah.
All right, thank you. Again, Ideal MRI, Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, thanks to Willis Law Firm, Shorty's Pizza Shack, Chapman's Bail Bonds, Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, the app sponsor, Boozer's Jewelers, Petty Clinic Low T, the Marketplace, Waco Custom Marketplace, where you can go and get the best what you want for 4th of July tomorrow. First National Bank of Central Texas, Ben Erlinson, Brad Wilson, Tom Albers, and Cam Heathcott, Edward Jones, Advisors, Camille Johnson Realtors, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lance Donaldson Realty, Westdale Asset Management, Pioneer Still and Pipe, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, Stonewood Dental, the McLean Group, Pickup Outfitters, and the Tyler Candle Company. All of them have been with us for such a long time, and we appreciate their loyalty and support. For Paul Catalina, for Craig Smoke, you guys have a happy 4th of July. Happy birthday, America. For Deontay Epps, I'm David Smoke. Thank you for listening whenever you do, however long it might be, and good night.
Summertime means vacation time. And while this summer may be different, at Allen Samuels, you can always count on our huge summer clearance event. It's on. We're moving out all remaining new 2020s, every Dodge and Chrysler car and SUV, every Ram truck, and we haven't left out Jeep. They've got to go too. Deep discounts, special factory offers, and financing. It's time to say goodbye. Adios, 2020s. Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Drive forward.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day, payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online